Dedication. This book is dedicated to the adolescent male, female, and young adults alike in search for their voice, purpose, and happiness in life. This book is for you. Through my creative thought process and way of explaining my experiences, may you find your path to a more fulfilled life. This book is also dedicated to my mother, Yvette, author of Journey of a Physician Recruiter, including sales strategies that work, and my two siblings, Shakira and Sean. My village helped to raise me into the forward-thinking person that I am today. I hope this book will remind everyone that with time and perspective, growth and change is possible, despite the narrative and social norm of people doubting your abilities and expecting your flaws and shortcomings not to result in change in behavior. Many people only want to see me as a DJ, while others nothing more than a Lyft or Uber driver, a server, a rapper, etc. Do not allow people to label you and attempt to belittle your big dreams and vision, as others will not have the same drive and ambition that you might have to achieve goals and chase dreams. That is why it is always important to be careful whom you share your dreams and ideas with. You may have also heard this being referred to as someone having a crab in the barrel mentality, meaning people may not really want you to be successful or prosperous in your endeavors for fear of not being able to succeed on their own. Some people can see your full potential, and others may make you feel hopeless. I am writing this book to help motivate others toward their full potential. The only power another person's opinion has over you is the power you give it. Riel Dawson. Introduction. Character is what you do by yourself when no one else is looking. Some people have no character or moral compass in which they follow, while others may be completely oblivious to the concept. But for those who are more aware, character will keep you in the room. Having good character will lead to longer and healthier relationships with others. Having good character will get you that job opportunity that you desperately need, that invitation to a trip with people that you like, that referral that you will need in the future that will lead you to close your business deal. If there are only two things that you take away from this book, let it be this. All you have in this world is your word. Once people start to question the validity of your word, you are done. Just like with trust and relationships, the second gem to beware of is that perception is a motherfucker. This is where phrases like guilty by association come from, and the endless cycle of evaluating the people in your life and being the CEO of it to determine who you are cutting off, bringing with you, or falling back from. This process will happen repeatedly in your life because as people, goals, values, and responsibilities change, so does your place in life. You will see this happen when your friends and relatives begin to settle down and have families. But do not let the ins and outs and ups and downs of relationships deter you from your path, your goals, and ultimately your life. You are supposed to be on your purpose in life and have goals and things in which you wish to ascertain. Will you remain complacent with everything in your life, strive to always improve, or be held back by those trying or not in a position to be as great as your potential is? Will you be distracted by those purposely trying to distract you from your goals because they have no desires of their own? These people are known as time wasters, and although we all need and could use a little more distraction in life, just like with everything else, you will find that moderation is key. So you should not be going out to party every weekend unless partying is part of your business or hustle. Get used to hearing the word no. You may hear the word no 1,000 times before you get your first yes, before you get to someone who believes in you and your vision and aligns themselves with your ideas. So get used to disappointment. Get used to some people using you for your skills, talent, or position. Get used to all the human social behaviors of jealousy, love, hate, and insecurities. Embrace yourself for the ride. My mother always told me that you're lucky if you make it in this world and come out with one or two people who you could call your friends. Not associates, but actual friends. Because life is a series of rooms, and whoever you get stuck in a room with determines the outcomes of our lives. Dr. House TV show, 2000. You are always one decision away from a totally different life. In the same breath, it is a small world, And you never know who might make it or be in a position of power. So while you're ignoring text and cutting people off who may have genuine interest in you and want nothing more from you, they will remember how nice you treated them before anything else about you, which is why your character keeps you in the room. Show respect even to people who don't deserve it, not as a reflection of their character, but as a reflection of yours. Forward by Tony Santiago. As I said before, you have to sometimes try a sample of different careers to find what you gravitate towards. Sometimes your personality can help guide you to find a good fit. Try taking some free online personality tests to get to know yourself more. If you don't like to swim, why would you become a lifeguard? It will speed you along faster when you're excited about what you are doing. Do your research. It's all online. Google is your best friend. I know you must work and do a bunch of other stuff, but you must lock down at least 1 hour a day to start working toward your new goals. You must make massive sacrifices with your personal time to get where you want to go. Everyone starts out not knowing people. You will find ways to make connections along the road. You must stay focused, even when things seem like they're not working. It takes time. Be patient, but work every day towards it. Start to rearrange the people in your life. If you're not learning from someone, don't waste your time hanging out with them all the time. You need that time to learn. You can fuck around occasionally, but no one becomes successful smoking weed every day and chilling. Use the internet to reach out to people who may be doing something you're into. Buy them a cup of coffee. Have the conversation. But start to clean up your circle. If your family is negative and is not a good source of support, find ways to block their energy as much as you can. Sorry to say this, but you only have time for those who want to add to your life, not take away from it. Read. Always read. Everything's in the books. Sorry to say this as well, but no one gives a fuck about you. You have to give the utmost fuck about yourself. No one is going to save you. Only you. Acknowledgements. This is for you, the person who listens to a stranger over their friends and family when it comes to asking for the same advice over and over to the same questions, to the same problems that you are going through. I get it. It's hard to move on, let go, get over it, etc. But they wanted me to let you know that they're tired of telling you to break up with that person, leave that job you hate, and quit complaining. Do something to make the changes that you claim you want, and hold yourself accountable. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. John Haywood. Knowledge is power. Francis Bacon. 1. What can I learn? Why would you want to read a book or listen to someone like me? I'm not known for success yet, and I am not famous for anything as far as you know. I'm just your everyday guy who attempts to live above average and chase the American dream, just like you. What can you learn from somebody who has failed time and time again and has fallen short of expectations? That is to keep trying and never give up. Keep reaching for those dreams, thoughts, and visions, even though others cannot see and will not fully understand at this time. It's not that you can't learn from people's failures, for example, a homeless person, etc. However, in regard to speeding up your own definition of success and desires, then that requires being around people who are more successful than you, because you're going to learn and pick up on things quickly, like a sponge to get you where you need to be. Start your never-ending search to get into rooms that will achieve your goals, with morals and dignity, of course. What can you learn from someone who has all the potential in the world that teachers and other peers can see, but they haven't lived up to yet? Well, you can continue to read and find out, or you can be like so many others who think you can't learn something or get inspiration/information from people who have failed, come up short, and/or have even been homeless. Everyone loves to skip the failures and go right to listening to someone who has already achieved their objective view on success. Failures equal success for those of us not given a silver spoon, a handout. I get it, and I can agree to the premise that if you haven't made $1 million, you can't show someone how to. But what about that person who's on the way to success? What about that person with amazing ideas and creativity that those same people you may idolize steal and run with their ideas because they have more money and connections? What about the underdogs and their stories of having to battle against people who may not get theirs the honest way? What if people gave you the middle of the story and not just the beginning and the end? Aren't you tired of hearing it takes hard work and practice? Working hard at doing what? Practicing what? What do I need to do to make it in life? Can someone inform me of that and dumb it down, please? If the middle story is what you're looking for, inspiration and guidance for the journey, then you might have stumbled across the right book. It may or may not contain something that you haven't heard or known before. It may or may not teach you something, and it may or may not entertain you. But the game is the game, and if someone is willing to share their experiences, trials, and tribulations in life, then maybe it's worth a little bit of your time. Condensed and shortened for you, the reader. Maybe I'll say something or put something in a way that gets to you, even though you may have heard some of this information before. This is for you. Free game today. 2. Rooms to go. Who is in your room is important. Does this really have an impact on your life, and why? What should you do with these rooms? Why would you need access? You should be able to have access to multiple rooms at any time. Rooms are the many people that will be in and out of your life. However, we can never determine which rooms will lead to our betterment or a more fulfilled life. Therefore, it is important to have access to multiple rooms at any time. You never know when you might need a door opened for you. That is why it is best not to burn bridges and leave a good lasting impression. A room full of stoners are going to get stoned. A room full of gamers are going to play video games. A room full of chefs are going to cook. We are not here to judge each room or even say that one room is better than the other or will lead to more success. But you should align the values and goals in your rooms to see if they match with where you are trying to go. Keep in mind that they may never know who, what, or why you may need something or someone from another room. But when that time comes, you will have the ability or access to acquire what it is that you need. In other words, network with an open mind and stop being closed-minded to those who may not think like you or look like you, while at the same time staying away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. If you are going to do big things, you cannot let small things or small-minded people get to you. Inhale confidence and exhale the doubt once you begin your process, your journey to enlightenment, and believe in yourself to trust that you can achieve what you want out of life. Make the best out of the situations that you are in and the cards that you have been dealt. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. What you do has far greater impact than what you say. Even though all you have in this world is your word, you must understand that not everybody abides by that code. Do what you must do until you can do what you want to do. Have a vision, hold a vision, listen to your inner voice, affirm your mission, act and be adaptable to change. Avoid time wasters at all costs. Time wasters are people who wait for inspiration, worry about what other people think, complain about everything, try to please everybody, are perfectionists, compare their lives to everyone else's, repeat the same mistakes over and over, have a lack of priorities and ambition, fears doing anything because of failure, and are scared to live their own life. Find your why, your purpose in life, and make sure no excuses come between you and your goals. Be careful who you trust. Salt and sugar look the same. Unknown. 3. Loading. Never regret a day in your life. The bad days help shape your experience. Your worst days give you lifelong lessons, while your good days bring you happiness, and your best days make long-lasting memories. People will judge you no matter what you do, so you might as well do what your heart is telling you to do. Your energy is how you sleep at night. Your energy is a clear conscience and a positive winning attitude. Your energy is your morals and values. Your energy is your happiness and peace of mind. Your energy is taking care of things that matter the most to you. Protect your energy at all costs. Do not waste your energy on things that you cannot control. Throughout your life, as you journey through these many rooms, You will come across many people who will test you, try you, entice you, or maybe even attempt to throw you off your game. This is something that you cannot allow. Your time and life are precious and valuable. Any setbacks toward your goals on your journey will cost you. In some cases, that can be a detriment to more than just your time, reputation, health, and well-being if you end up in situations that put you or your work in jeopardy. Therefore, navigating through the rooms is important, and why you can even be out of some rooms depending on how others perceive you. We have to protect our energies in many ways. Watch out for the friends who hold their applause for your wins, but give standing ovations for strangers seeking to accomplish the same things that you're attempting to do. Just because the people you know are near you does not mean they want to see you win. Give energy to and amplify those who pour into you unconditionally. Therefore, you cannot save everybody you know, and you cannot bring everyone along with you on your journey. If someone tells you that you can't, they are projecting their limitations and doubts onto you, not yours. Whenever you find yourself doubting how far you can go, just remember how far you've come. Remember, everything that you have faced, the obstacles that you have overcome, the adversities you demolished, and all the fears that you have laid to rest. Sometimes it is hard to identify toxic energies or situations because we have certain things in life that blind our realities. Things like the word friend and loyalty come to mind. Both words are subjective. You must realize that we all have our own definitions of what a friend is and what loyalty is. Consider that friend who takes up hours of your week to use your ears to dump all of their problems, issues, and concerns on you because they think that you are strong, a good listener, etc. When you finally wake up and realize that you have been giving the same advice, hearing the same problems, and giving the same solutions repeatedly, only for it to fall on deaf ears, and find out that it's not really appreciated, and that people are going to do what they want to do regardless, then when you call them out on their shit, or if they're finally done using you, that loyalty goes out the window. My mother always had a saying, you give someone an inch and they'll take a mile. You allow someone to borrow money, smoke all your weed, have glasses of wine and alcohol, and use up all your time, all to feel like you never get the same in return, because everyone does not move like you do. When is it your turn? You cannot expect, think, or wait around for what you believe is the right thing to do, the right way to be, etc. What is loyalty in a world of capitalism and instant gratification? The day that I awoke to value my time was and is one of the greatest days in my life. Time is the only thing that we cannot get back. Again, who is in your room? A bunch of ungrateful users? What we do with our time is important. In your head, when dealing with these kinds of people, we try to motivate ourselves all the time, uplift all of the time, tell them to avoid situationships and entanglements all of the time, and keep wasting everyone's energy on the same stuff repeatedly. Ask yourself, why are you bothering to deal with this? Taking time away from something else that you could be doing. You must realize that as human beings, we are all naturally selfish people. Yes, there are many people out there who are selfless, but so many are selfish. I know at this point you must be saying to yourself, but I'm trying to help someone. We have been through so much together, etc. You can lead a horse to water, but cannot make it drink. Meaning people move at their own pace and are not necessarily willing to do something until they finally are. For example, working out. Yes, it is good to have a workout partner, have someone to eat healthy with. But if that person is not on the same page as you at the same time, unfortunately, it is not going to work or last very long because their heart's not in it. We live in a what have you done for me lately society. So figure out where to prioritize and place at the top people who really have your best interest at heart and care about you and your well-being. Keep in mind that your good intentions, like being there for someone, may not always be reciprocated in the same way. The day that did it for me was when I, of course, lent my ear to one of my friends by answering the phone to hear the same old problems. And when I didn't say exactly what they wanted to hear, that person had the audacity to say to me, "I don't even know why I called you." Yeah, that's the day that did it for me. All the hours and time spent on the phone meant nothing to me anymore. Keep in mind, this type of person calls and does the same thing to at least 3 other people, giving the same advice and answers as me as well. So you are not even special at the end of the day. This information is nothing exclusive. What loyalty do you need to give or have in a one-sided relationship? Your time is valuable. This is where rap lyrics like, "If it isn't about the money, there isn't anything to talk about." People in sales and business are this way too, because time is money. Protecting your energy is important, and a series of problems that has nothing to do with you, or even the person you're trying to help for the most part, is not constructive in determining the outcome of your life, and is a waste of time and a distraction from your purpose in life. Don't get me wrong, we all need some type of distraction or entertainment to enjoy, some gossip from time to time. But we are talking about toxic people who always have a problem they could solve on their own if they would just make their own decisions like the rest of us. That toxic person who always wants to go out, always wants to play video games, and has a lack of ambition. Avoid these people like the plague. Time heals all wounds. Menander. 4. Regrets. Although I've never regretted a day in my life, I can think of at least one regret I do have. But there is still one thing that is in my favor, coming to reality. There's still time so that it's not a lifelong regret. I regret not being more selfish sooner. This is the one and only regret that you will have in life, I promise. It seems like fun now, hanging out with this person and that person, traveling here and there. I know money returns and time doesn't, but at least make the focus more on your time. Why hold on to a grudge? Why keep your mind stressing and worrying about things nobody else but you are even thinking about? My experience has always been that people have selective memory and don't care or won't remember half of the things that you may talk about. This is because people can remember stories, situations, and occasions different from you. It's like dating a person for a long time. You see each other and speak to each other every day, yet have no idea that there are problems and that the other person feels differently about things one day, which would appear to be suddenly. So yes, the only regret that you should have in life is not being more selfish and worrying about how to better yourself. Remember hearing why you should never let people borrow money or why rich people don't give out money? It's for this reason right here. Yes, there is a small percentage of people who you can trust to even remember that you lent them money during their worst time, maybe 10%. But let you not be straight or down. Do they remember you then? Do they repay you the money you lent? If anything, once people use you for what they want, that is the last time you hear from them. It's like the communication magically stops. You magically forget who I am and how you needed me. Everyone's mainly out for them. What happened to that job your friend was going to put you on or see about? What's taking so long? Yet they can hit you up every time they need something, like connecting them with a plug and getting them weed. Who's connecting you? Who's always coming through for you? Why are you there for everybody else so much, yet you are still by everybody else's side, even though you have your own struggles? When will you wake up and value your time, effort, and money more than everybody else's? How do you make music and record with people who never put up any money to push the project further, or magically can invest or find money when it's their own thing? Do you understand the games people play yet? Oh, we'll meet up or link. Why tell a lie or something you don't really wish to do in the first place? People are weird, and we don't have time to figure out human nature and patterns for each individual person. What you do have time for is yourself, and understanding what it is that you are trying to do and accomplish. The goal is to not get caught up in everybody else's game and distractions, because maybe they'll be fine. They have help and a good support system and an easier path to life. They may not have to work as hard as you do, fight as hard for some of the same things that their privileged asses just get handed to them. So what time do we have to waste? At the end of the day, people come and go, and what control do we really have over that? You can't even control when your spouse is done with you in your relationship. He or she is not yours. It's just your turn. And if you're a man, the world doesn't care about your problems or sob story. Nobody is paying attention to you. You are not that important until you become that important. And even after that, the rise and fall of fame, people will forget about you then too. So if famous and rich people go through it, what makes you think that you won't, or are not already going through, or have gone through this already? Never be a prisoner of your past. It was a lesson. Unknown. 5. Introvert. You must realize that some people cannot stand to be alone. Others do not know how to be alone or do anything alone. You have people who must eat with someone else, must shop with someone else, etc. They are very codependent, no matter the situation or who is around. They need someone around them all the time. It's amazing how they accomplish anything or get anything important done. How do you come up with your purpose in life if this is you? How do you outline a plan for yourself? How do you observe and gain understanding of the world? Most importantly, how do you find yourself? How do you find out your morals in life, what you value in life, and how you would navigate through life if you were always attached to someone else? Some of my best ideas, words for songs, knowledge that I obtained from watching something different, opportunities that came to me, meeting new people, planning out my life and attracting the opposite sex for dates, all came about when I was alone, rather than being surrounded by people. People are great at times, don't get me wrong, and no one wants to always be alone or die alone. But the fear of doing something alone, going to a movie alone, eating out alone, is something that should not be frowned upon in our society and is perfectly normal if you choose to do so. Think of all the time that is saved just in deciding on a restaurant or movie, and you can really enjoy what you like. And as I've already stated, other opportunities might present itself versus you not being alone. For example, does a group of guys or girls together stand a better chance of getting a date when you go out to a bar or club? Or does a person who is by themselves? One is more approachable than the other and less intimidating. People often confuse the word shy and introvert. They often associate the word introvert with being weak. An introvert is perceived to be reserved and quiet, an observer, if you will. Being introverted is not being shy or scared to interact with people. Being introverted is protecting your own energy from people, removing yourself from the propaganda of mass media, taking a hiatus from social media, which causes dangerous effects on the mind, and an addiction to your phone and likes. It is an objective point of view and ability to be down to earth and connect with others who are alike, to spark the thinking needed to challenge the status quo. A closed mouth does not get fed. A lot of the times I find myself reflecting, wishing that more free game got passed down from my elders. I understand that we are all busy living our lives and are in the middle of things, which makes it harder to do so. But that is why I go out of my way to try and pass the game down earlier in life to my peers and the youth instead of waiting for later. It has been my experience that if you never ask the why, who, or how, you will never get the answers that you seek. Sometimes you must start up a conversation to play devil's advocate and probe people's brains to get new answers or insight from something you feel you already know the answers to or heard the story before a million times. But now go in with new insight and ask the right questions, and you might get something new you have never heard before. That is why people can do tons of interviews, and you can expect something different from each one, depending on who the interviewer is. No one is ever giving you the game for free, and I get it to an extent. Pay the cost to be the boss, and the game is to be sold, not told. However, we spend years learning useless information in school and come out just as lost and dumb as ever, not knowing how to maneuver through life, not understanding finances and how to get out of debt, not understanding taxes, hell, not even understanding the system in place for our everyday lives, not even thinking about it. I try my hardest to give out a little bit of the game that I know, at least to the people closest to me, based on my experiences, even when nobody asked for it. Lead by example and change the way some of the crab in the barrel mentality think out there. We all can do better for ourselves, and there is enough for all of us to eat. But if you are part of the oppressed, why would your oppressor want you to eat and thrive? So let this be clear. If no one around you is being realistic and trying to prepare you for the obstacles in the real world, then you are going to have to go out of your way and ask questions. Seek answers from various sources about your inquiries and use your best judgment based on your conclusions. Be happy with what you have while working for what you want. Helen Keller. 6. Playing the game. We live in a world where we have choices every day. These everyday choices over time define us, our outcomes in life, and more. There are several games to play when it comes to assessing your life and the best possible outcomes. Just like in sales, even your life is a numbers game. There are no standard/conventional right or wrong ways to do things to achieve whatever your definition of success is, might be, or hope to be. One thing that I do know is that the quicker you can grasp the understanding and idea of human life at an earlier age, the better. This is the ultimate purpose of getting the game wherever and whenever you can receive it. I know that avoiding mistakes is inevitable, and that we also can learn and grow from our mistakes, for those who are fortunate enough to do so, to grow and become better people, hopefully. Some mistakes may even lead to success, but the goal is not to cut corners per se, but to learn from other people's mistakes so that you don't have to waste time through trial and error because it has already been done. The game is based on each individual person's life, obstacles, trials, and tribulations. Health is wealth. Do not let the hype fool you and the appeal of social media get to you. You do not have to keep up with the Kardashians. With time, you will learn to understand that health is the most important thing. You cannot enjoy life without it, as well as friends and having people you can have a good time with. How many times have you heard that it is lonely at the top? How many people with money and everything they think they'd want are alone? What would truly make you happy? Health and happiness are the top priorities in your life before you should even worry about playing the game. So, what is playing the game, you ask? Playing the game is how one chooses to navigate through their system that has been set up and designed for a small number of those to win. The majority is to help fuel it, and the rest determines who will come up at the bottom as losers. But like I said, even a happy, healthy loser would be winning, right? Playing the game is figuring out how to maneuver credit scores, toiling jobs, budgeting, and saving, which seems like it is never a real possibility. Meanwhile, why do we fight amongst ourselves? And those who break free keep the real secrets to their success and gain to themselves, and throw out little carrots now and then. Even with a book like this, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So, when you keep applying to that job that you're qualified to get, just know that before you even get a chance to get it, that job will be reserved first for the person who is hiring a friend, friend of a friend, family member, cousin, etc., which is how most cultures work. They look out for each other. Then we get to the minorities. So the struggle to get some of these positions is always harder. However, when opportunity meets preparation, you better be ready. So how can you play the game? By not having an excuse when that phone call or email comes. What have you been doing to get ready and prepare for your opportunity? Did you study? Did you do research? Did you put the time in and do trial runs? Many of us talk a lot but aren't ready for the moment when the time comes. You want to be a DJ? Did you save your money and reinvest in yourself so when bigger gigs come, you have the right equipment to handle it? Did you get liability and performance insurance and make yourself a legitimate business? If not, how can you really be ready to perform at the higher paying gigs? Make sure you are always on your path to your vision and purpose. Even if you fail and realize that something may not be for you, at least make sure that you give it your all at first. Many people go into something thinking that it's sweet, and when things get a little difficult, are ready to quit, while the other person you call successful didn't give up. Always ask for the receipt. 7. Receipts. I got the receipts. A common phrase in today's urban culture that can be heard throughout television, radio, and the media. But how many of us practice asking for, getting, and keeping real receipts? Not just the receipts of messages in your cell phone so that you can blackmail people or show proof of an interaction or incident. But how many of us make sure to do this in our everyday lives, with our everyday transactions? You never know when you'll need to show proof of a purchase. You can get audited, which is showing proof of the things that you did. Do you have budgeting issues? then keeping track of receipts is how you end up not poor and broke, trying to make ends meet week to week. What are you spending your money on? Why didn't you save more money this year? The answer is because you have no idea where your money is going. We must teach ourselves discipline, whether it be working out or eating right. Being better financially is all centered around discipline. Without discipline, we are no different than the animals in the kingdom. Applying basic bookkeeping knowledge and skills is important to your foundation of financial freedom. So it may be in your best interest to consider some online courses or instructional videos that will help guide you toward better budgeting practices. Even practicing creating a ledger for your own personal records when loaning out money to friends and family can come in handy if things ever go to court. So, will you choose to be more disciplined? Or will you continue down the spiral staircase to self-destruction? The choice is yours. We all have choices. Or do we? 8. Choices. A common theme and phrase around my life as of late for the past 2 years has been that we all have our choices, that the decisions that we make in our everyday lives will have a determining factor and outcome toward our future. I agree with the premise that there are choices that we can either choose to avoid being in altogether, like cheating, or choices that we can choose to engage in, like watching Pornhub and Charlemagne the God, or feed your mind. The internet is like a gift and a curse. It is a tool to be used to gain personal achievement and goals. This requires discipline, just like your workouts, learning online, studying for a class, etc. Time. What are you doing with your time? The older you get, you realize how precious and important your time is. It's priceless. It's easy to watch an hour of porn, yet it's hard to read a book for an hour. Food for thought. What exactly are our choices, though? What if our choices are still being controlled and guided? Is there really such a thing as true free will? Do we really have the power to choose among alternatives, or to do things free of restraints without consequences? If our choices are predetermined, then we don't have free will. College, credit scores, debt, work-life balance, and our job/function in the world all will have a serious impact on our lives and determine our income, where we live, what type of neighborhood we will be in, where we will be able to work, access to better groceries and food options, and more. I'm not trying to create fear or tell you that it's not possible to achieve the things that you desire in life or overcome any roadblocks that may come your way. My goal is to only be honest and provide the information that for some of us, the landscape may not be as laid out. If you know why you are doing something and it will help you toward your goals, then that's all that matters. If you know that you have a plan and things are temporary, then that's all that matters. Do what you must do to get yourself out of the hole. Put aside your pride and don't worry about what other people are doing. You don't know what other people are doing to get theirs. Their money may come back to haunt them. Be happy with how you're getting yours. Learn to appreciate life, even the little things. When being faced with it all being taken away, even the shitty job becomes okay. Why? Because going to jail, prison, death, or having other things that hinder your success or take you out is an L in the game. You can't control what happens in life. You can only control how you respond. 9. Manifestation. Remember we talked about energy earlier in the book. That same energy applies here. Do you want to overcome the situations in your life, or will you let your current situation be your last destination? You can make your dreams and desires become reality through positive, constructive thought. That is what manifestation is all about. If you really want something and truly believe it's possible, it will happen. But there are steps. This is a spiritual journey that will require meditation, a clear affirmation of what you want, action toward what you want, trusting your journey and process, and being aware of what is being sent your way as opportunities. Refrain from seeing the negative and avoid resisting seeing what you gain from your current circumstance. What energy are you putting into the universe? What energy are you giving and receiving? It's kind of like treating others how you expect to be treated and being that person that you truly wish to become. It will eventually happen as opposed to doing nothing. This may require a bevy of things to achieve your goals. You may have to remove people from your life or change your environment. Avoid the media, fear, manipulation, and doubt planted from family members and spouses alike. Avoid predictive programming. Be a free thinker. Put me in the game, coach. 10. Coach. We all know that everyone hates a person who knows it all. I'm sure by now you've heard the saying that if you are the smartest in the room, then you should probably leave that room. We are constantly learning as humans, and we do not know everything or have all the answers. Therefore, you must be coachable, be able to learn and adapt to changing times and circumstances. This applies to your own life and with your employer. You go to work, you learn the job, and that job may change over time as far as requirements and duties. Yes, the employer seeks after a person with experience, but someone who is stuck in their ways and can't adapt to a Zoom call or things outside of their comfort zone can be a liability as well. How many people have you helped? Everyone also hates the person who brags about how successful they are and how much money they have. But how many millionaires did you create? Who else have you helped to become successful? Have you paid it forward? Planted the seed of inspiration? Mentored the next generation? Or put some of your like-minded peers on with information, employment, opportunity, and networking opportunities? If you haven't, then maybe you should consider some of these options, because I believe that you will eventually hit a wall of the amount of success that you could potentially reach. What do I mean? Expanding your knowledge and monetizing your knowledge, as well as helping build the next one up, opens the door for more influence, more reach, and a more fulfilling life. Why? Because game nurtures game. Just like all the game that you soaked up over the years, and the people that poured into you to make you who you are, and the people that look up to, support, and believe in you, deserve that you don't forget about them when you are on top. When you haven't lived that virtuous life of gratitude is when others pray for your downfall, and you don't want that. Although it's hard to avoid an envious person, and you can't expect everybody to like you. A good example of the type of person that I am describing would be Shaquille O'Neal. With great wealth comes great responsibility, and I believe he has displayed it almost perfectly. Humble, caring, and although flawed, as we all are, does not seem to have many enemies or people who hate him to the point where they would want to harm him because he's been charitable, generous, passionate to his fans, coachable, and a man of the people. He's created affordable shoes, affordable insurance, and although successful, he's not greedy with his intentions. I played sports growing up, like most children. I played basketball and ran cross country. As a kid, they teach you that sports are a great way to exercise, build teamwork, and show sportsmanship. In hindsight, playing sports is more like the animal kingdom in business world. It prepares you for the vicious competition of what the real world is like. Yes, sure, and okay. 11. Yes men. Try to avoid having yes men around you. Don't be a yes man, and you yourself personally learn to stop saying yes to anything and everything. Take more time out for yourself and stop dealing with everybody's bullshit. The day you start to learn to say no more will be the start to the best part of the rest of your life. Yes, it may suck at first. It may even be a slap in the face when you realize who is there for you or not. The more you say yes, the more you create the opportunity for you to be used. So be mindful of what it is that you are always saying yes to and how people or others react to you when you finally say or tell them no. Do people really care about you and your feelings? Do people really want you to get ahead of them? Will people really be there for you when it's your turn for your favor? Not to sound pessimistic, but these are fair questions to consider during interactions and exchanges with others. Is everybody else benefiting more from the situation than you are? What are you getting out of the deal? Assets over liabilities. Rashad Bilal and Troy Millings. 12. Ownership. What is the most precious thing that a person can own? The most precious thing a man can own is his name. Go clear your name and make sure that there are no stains on your name that you aren't prepared to handle or can live through. Is it me? Or does it seem like the most successful businesses are people's last names? Trump, Simmons Mattress, Johnson & Johnson, Albrecht's discounts, Aldi and Trader Joe's, and more. So protect your most prized asset, your name. That is why people will sue for defamation of their name and character, because they still must work and get jobs and make money. Unfortunately, that may mean having to hold back some of your opinions and not be as open to talk about certain subjects, at least not until you feel like you are in a position where that won't influence your income and impact your life. Again, we must play the game until we get to where we want to be. If there are some other interests that you would like to explore that won't necessarily be attached to your name, you can always use a pseudonym. The world is your stage. Be creative, be bold, be fearless, and move with a plan and purpose. It betters your chances in this world. Again, be aware of anything and everything attached to your name. Unfortunately, you can't turn a blind eye to certain things and act like they don't exist. Credit is attached to your name, so check your credit and play the credit game until you don't have to. Create leveraging opportunities so that you're winning. Pay everything off early. Monitor your debt-to-income ratio. Be on your shit. Get better bookkeeping/money management practices and prepare for whatever changes the government may throw at you. And by the time this book comes out, we will already be further into a recession. Remember, the world goes on and never cares about you. Life goes on. We know that history repeats itself. You can read about the problems that other people wrote about during their time on this earth. What else should you seek to own? Whatever is not a liability and can be turned into an asset. Not necessarily owning a home, but start thinking about what people will always need in their everyday life. What can't people go without? What is a necessity? How are we making our money work for us? Again, by the time this book comes out, and with the direction of where the world is going, my suggestion would be into crypto, digital currencies, and prepare for the meta world that people have already been conditioned for unknowingly with the creation of applications like Instagram, Facebook, Meta, Twitter, and Snapchat. Any type of collectibles holds more value than the crap you waste money on every day. What should you avoid celebrating that you own? Depreciating assets like clothes, cars, and trips that aren't being utilized in a way where it's coming directly from your pockets as a 100% loss/expense. Lastly, own your shit. If you own your shit and look in the mirror and get your shit together, who else is stopping you but you? The faster you look in the mirror and say you're prepared to sacrifice and do a little bit each day towards your goal, then you are one step closer. So create that vision board with dates and get to affirming the life that you want to live. Run it up to spend it right. 13. Investments. What will it take for you to realize that you should invest in yourself more? How much money do you have to continue to waste and spend on trying to impress the one you like or love? After you spend the money on that date, dinner, movie, and the cheap thrills that are never enough to keep anyone satisfied, doesn't it just eat away at you all the other things you could have done with that money? Well, it eats away at me every time I do something stupid with money. Nobody's ever going to invest as much time, effort, and money into what you are trying to do, other than you. And we don't have time to waste. The clock is ticking, and you're not scared to pull the trigger to chase your dreams, or at the very least try. So invest in yourself all of the time and often. Pay for that course to learn something of value. Hey, some may be scams, but some may work out. Purchase these things with a credit card and not your real card or debit card. Credit cards do have their uses and benefits, like protection from fraud. Just make sure you always have enough money to pay the balance and not spend what you don't have. Support the areas that you are pursuing and join their communities. Now you have something to do that's productive and is working towards your goals, like catching that 1-hour Zoom at 8:30 p.m. where gems were dropped. Now you've gained more knowledge and more plays to run instead of worrying about what your partner is doing or hanging out with the girls or fellas. You wrote another page in your book, free from distractions. Let the procrastinators and time wasters do what they do and focus on your mission, even if that means you may be sleeping with the enemy until you get to that place where they know they need to have a clear role. Once you have some money to play with, stick with investing into the things that you like and are passionate about. If it's video games, fashion, real estate, etc., You want to make sure that you have some experience and at least some knowledge of what you're getting into. Look good, smell good, feel good. 14. Self-care. This next section is about self-care and grooming. Depending on where you are in life, it might determine how you feel about grooming and your grooming options. I would say that if you are studying to pursue a license, certification, writing a book, recording an album, in full grind mode, self-care is the last thing on your mind, as it should be. Mine wouldn't be either, as expensive grooming can cost. But again, if you want to play the game, then appearance is a part of it. Depending on what your lane is, business, music, fashion, etc., expect to have a budget for your wardrobe because you must look the part to play the part. Address this however you are comfortable with doing that, and remember to never compromise your morals or integrity. Keep in mind that now we turn liabilities into assets, so we are not spending more than we need to look good. Other options will be explored like thrift shops, renting, rotating the same 5 nice outfits, etc., until we get to our goals. If you are like me and really don't care much for designers and dealing with the pressures of looking good for society, like this is high school still, trust me, you are not alone. But again, this game is how others perceive you. Don't believe me? Then do your own social experiment. Get a new haircut or hairstyle, some nice new shoes, clothes, and see the comments, attention, and looks you get. And of course, don't forget the smell goods. Then go ungroomed, nappy, grow your hair out, just like you don't care for 3 months, and now see the responses and how unnoticeable you are. In that state, you are not ready to meet or engage with anybody, and are not ready to run into anyone of importance in business, a spontaneous date, or any other opportunities that may arise. You are not ready for that random social media influencer and the camera. Smile, say cheese. Of course, you must implement some sort of exercise routine into your everyday life, at least 3 days out of the week. Form this habit and make it a ritual that you cannot miss so that you're a beast. Not only to look good and feel good, but because health is wealth. You can't do anything dead, so why not try to take care of your most prized asset, which is yourself? Yes, that means be disciplined with your diet and your fridge. I like to surround myself with the healthy items that I do like and force myself to choose better options, kind of like having certain friends or people around your life that will have an impact on you. It's the same with food. Meal prep and stay away from the salts and sugars. Again, life is about moderation, so just reverse whatever habits that you do have and try to improve. Eat out once a week instead of 4, and so on and so forth. There's no more to address on the matters of health and fitness. We are all aware of the habits and things we need to do to look and feel a certain way. It's about what day you will wake up and decide that you want to do them. Be careful not to get caught up in scamming and jamming. 15. Scammers and jammers. Mom said figure out how to get this money legally. No scamming and no jamming. This phrase means that if you are out scamming to make your money, then you have a higher chance of getting jammed up by the law. Any jams or stops of the flow of money in the mission is not what we want. We must protect our name and the brand. Any stains they try to hang over your head or your past they use against you to keep you down, no matter how far back in your life it may be. There's no room for growth and maturity in their world. You are not allowed to change and think differently in their world. You're not allowed to do what you must by any means to make it in their world. Only they can. Just keep that in mind in case you are not strong enough or have enough money to deal with the consequences of your past actions. For example, the media will still refer to rapper Jay-Z as a former drug dealer and a rapper, not entrepreneur, businessman, investor, etc. Need another example? Kevin Hart, accused of being homophobic for a past tweet taken out of context that was 5 years old, cost him a job he always wanted to do. You can be scamming and jamming and don't even know it. I almost got caught up with some scammers posing as a fake company with a fake interview and everything. It seems like scammers are everywhere nowadays, so you must move with caution, even when it comes to applying and trying to get a job and do some honest work. So don't be desperate for money. That's how you avoid scammers who seek to take advantage of those eager and desperate enough to make fast, quick decisions without thinking. While I was helping someone else come up and potentially facing prison time, all I could think about was everything that I should have done and can do versus what I was caught up in. Yes, I felt dumb, stupid, embarrassed, and used. And still, there is nothing scarier than potentially seeing everything you have worked for be gone due to someone else's greed and your fear and ignorance. This is another reason why it is better to go after your dreams or what may seem impossible. What do you have to lose? All is fair in love and war. Francis Edward Smedley. 16. Keys to a successful relationship. Prioritize your man or woman after self, purpose, and family. How do you show appreciation for your man or woman who works hard for you? What is something that your man or woman can look forward to at least once a month? What is something special that you do for your man or woman that no one else gets? How often do you tell your man or woman yes versus no? How often do you surprise him or her with something? Are you by your man or woman's side, on his or her team? Are you cooperative, easy to get along with? Are you for your man or woman, support decisions? Are you more submissive to your job? Do you not question your bosses at your job, but question your man or woman? Do you do stuff for your man or woman without them having to say something? Are you paying attention? Is sex a chore for you? Are you being transparent, or are you playing games? Are you lying through omission, cheating? Are you ever pleased? Are you being manipulative? Are you entertaining other men or women, have backups, due to fear of commitment and fear of loss? How well do you handle criticism? Are you selfless or selfish? Are you mean or nice? Are you in your masculine frame more than your feminine frame? How do you talk to your man or woman? Do you really want a man to lead and dominate, or are you trying to do it? Who has the final say? Are you trying to be a man's mother and tell him what he is doing wrong, how you would do it, etc.? Are you willing to sacrifice? Do you take accountability for your actions? Are you taking your man or woman for granted? If you were to break up, would you work out consistently to lose weight? If yes, is it because you'd want to look better to find someone else? Then why can't you work out to look better now? Expectations versus effort. Could you do more/try harder? Do your expectations match what you bring to the table, tangible, or are you expecting more than you're willing to offer? Do you have Disney movie expectations, or are you living in the real world? Do bad experiences/relationships have you bitter? Are you expecting to get everything because it's been told that you can have it all? Communication. Are you on the same page, or are y'all off in two different directions? Are you being a helpmate? Being submissive isn't a negative connotation. You can be submissive to your partner and still have your voice. If religious, Bible says to be a helpmate to your husband. Men don't listen to what's said. We go by actions. What are you doing? How are you moving? Women respond and think based off their emotions. Come to terms that some of the feminist movement has hurt our relationships with one another. Admit that you do need a man to do certain things. Men are an important role in their children's life. 1 in 4 women will marry. Consider these points to maximize the best outcome in your relationship. Pain comes with success. Embrace it. That's life. Go hard and cry tears of joy. 17. Lessons. So, what should you have learned? I don't know, but I know what I have learned, and that is that time will now, forever, and always wait for no man. It'll take your wake-up call for you to get more focused and grind it out. If not the friends or people around you, then hopefully this book. Put the pieces of the puzzle together and find the courage and some support to go for what you want. How many times do you have to repeat the same actions to know that this may not be for you? Dreading that 9 to 5? Me too. Yes, play the game and get the bread. But what is the exit strategy? Because you can't take it anymore, right? Maybe you almost got scammed, or did, and lost it all, and must start over. That's motivation. Your new job won't give you any days off, and you are a slave to a strict schedule. But you are good at what you do, and you know that if you can do this and sell that for somebody else, then why not for yourself? Why not spend that time to write that book and sell that? People buy dumb shit every day. And this is something you feel like could be useful and valuable to someone, maybe even more than what you do for work. Scared money doesn't make no money. Sell or be sold. Have your own team or be on someone else's. Not looking to get scammed, but people are. And so you're too scared to go hustle something. That is the lesson. It is scarier to be caught up in jail, people's bullshit, and dating, to an extent, than it is to spend the time that goes by so quickly anyway on what might be the start of something that will set you free. Life is like driving a car. 18. Driving lessons. I have spent years on the road because of various jobs, such as Lyft and Amazon. Also, being raised in the South, you can get your learner's permit as early as 14 and a half and be allowed to operate and drive a vehicle on the road. All this time driving, as well as training, has allowed me to come up with this analogy. And maybe it is not a new concept, but I'm going to express all my thoughts and ideas because I know that I am not alone. Therefore, life is like driving a car. Life is like driving a car because you're literally dealing with other people and all the different types of lives that you share the road with. That is why they teach you defensive driving tactics for some of these jobs. And you should apply what they teach you, not only on the road, but to your life as well. It may not be you that you must worry about every time you are on the road or in life. It is everybody else. So you use defensive driving to avoid the bullshit because, again, we don't have time to get caught up in other people's bullshit. Stay 3 seconds away. Why is everybody in a rush? To go where and do what? Why does it seem like the beat-up, dusty cars are always the ones zooming in and out of lanes, annoying everybody with poor driving? Why does it seem like females always have road rage and tailgate behind you to where if you slammed on the brakes, we are all done? They tend to drive Nissans for some reason. So how do we avoid these situations and people? Be calm, go your pace, do you. Don't let others pressure you into speeding and going fast. You're not in a rush. You left on time and are cruising everywhere you go. You are responsible. You know that nobody has anything more important going on that they need to do, and no amount of tailgating or road rage can deter you from your destination safely. How many times have I had somebody rushing behind me, trying to speed me up, but they're not going where I'm going, and their travel is not as far as mine? The answer is every day. I can let them speed me up, and they turn off, and now I'm the one with the speeding ticket. I'm the one in an accident. You are precious cargo and are more expensive at the end of the day than any price tag of that vehicle. That's the joke, right? One of the most dangerous and expensive things that you will operate and own you play with. Your lives. Because it's just a toy, right? So you're going to let these other people toy with your life? Patience is a virtue. Celebrate the small wins. William Langland. 19. Trust the process. I have come to realize that I am a patient man. I would not say that I'm a perfectionist, but you must find that balance between wanting too much too soon before you are even ready for certain situations. As a man, you must stand firm in your beliefs, vision, and think clearly about your intentions and where you are trying to go and what you are trying to build. It may not be easy thinking different and going against the status quo. For example, like many are starting to see, I am one who is not in a rush for marriage and kids, etc. There are men out there who may feel the same, but may slip up or feel pressured into doing things that the other person themselves is not ready for either. You must remember that women have a biological clock and that you do not. I believe that it is extremely selfish to bring a child into an unstable, no foundation, and nothing built environment. So don't fall for the trap of family and kids. But she still wants to go out and go on trips. And if she was honest with herself, she's not even ready for the responsibility of a wife. But she wants you to provide all the responsibilities of a husband, starting before and leading up to marriage. And if you don't do something in what society deems the appropriate time frame, then you will be chastised. But Rome was not built in a day. Everybody must do something they don't like, a job that is not ideal to get you where you want to go. Nobody starts at the top or with it all. So continue to grind it out and keep your head down. Your time is your time. Stop comparing yourself to what other people got going on and other people's time. They may need the blessing more at this time. Life is a long man's game, and like one of my many jobs, life insurance teaches you that. Prepare for those expenses that continue to come after your working years. Most people don't think and prepare for the future, and that is how you can get jammed up later in life, even after paying your dues. The game literally never stops. It even gets more complicated. That is why it is extremely important to celebrate your small wins, even if it is by yourself, which I had to do a lot. You can't control what happens in life. You can only control how you respond. And remember, you can't influence the world if you're trying to be like it. Are you not entertained? Maximus, Gladiator. 20. Remember me. So you have figured out how to navigate your inner circle and who is going along with you on your journey as your support system. You now are aware of your credit score and are practicing better money management techniques to leverage credit to your advantage. You are investing in yourself by using the same money that you would normally use on fast food to release that song, book, purchase equipment, etc. You are investing and spending your time on things that can make you passive income. You are making efforts to work out and have a healthy diet. You now write down daily goals and future goals with dates and affirmations on a consistent basis. Your vision board and your environment are aligned with your purpose. We are working on a statement that clearly identifies what it is that you want to be known for by focusing on a niche. The jack of all trades is the master of none. That does not mean that you cannot have other interests, but what will be the main one tied to your success? You have identified your value and contribution to the world and what makes you unique, like your voice. You are planning on how you are going to package, document, and understand your value that will create an impact on other people's lives. You are not going to overcomplicate the process and are going to trust the process. Who am I? I am an observer of this world and fascinated with the psychology of human nature. My purpose is to inspire and uplift the ones around me, to pursue the gnawing thoughts in your head about what is passionate to you, to at least try. You owe yourself that much, and to never sell yourself short. This was my thought process, my creation from start to finish, my project, ideas, thoughts, and vision. I want to be known for compelling thoughts and using my creativity to help better myself and others. I love to write songs and inspire others with my creativity. I have an impact on the lives around me already on a small scale. Now I am scaling up by sharing my thoughts, ideas, music, and creations with the world. What will you have left behind for others, your kids, or the people that will be on this earth long after we are gone, to learn and see what happened during your time on this earth? What will be your legacy? What kind of idea will people have of you? Or will you just be another human being on this earth who didn't utilize their full potential and end up just a number, a social security number, a replaceable employee, a wasted vessel on this earth? So if that isn't food for thought, then I don't know what is. Time to get up and get to it. I wish I would have done more sooner. I might even release my old journal entries from college as blog posts. Why waste all that content and material that was done previously before that we paid thousands of dollars for? But hey, that's just me, and this is free game today. Let your mind go wild. And remember that you may feel some way about something or how someone may have done you wrong. And all they say when that time comes to finally address your feelings is, so? Me, myself, and I. Irving Gordon, Alan Roberts, and Alvin Kaufman. 21. How I avoided becoming a family man. How I avoided becoming a family man early on to get where I am now? I always knew that I would be a late bloomer and that I wanted the most time in my life to try and fail at many things. Again, that is not saying that those with families can't accomplish great things, but why put that strain on myself and my family when I am not ready for that kind of responsibility? So I always pull out. My mom told me at a young age, about 14, to never let what these girls may say in the moment get to you. They may say that they love you, They may say that they're ready for a family, but don't listen to that noise. It is just sex talk. So I have always been careful since that day that conversation took place in front of the trash can, as my mom saw a condom in my trash. Again, I believe that I would be a great father, but this increases your chances and focus to succeed in what you need to be successful at first. Not saying that having a child can't create discipline and structure, but again, you must be prepared and have the mindset to not only take on that task, but go further to develop and grow yourself as well. How I suffered 4 shoulder dislocations. How I suffered 4 shoulder dislocations, 2 on each arm, during my short-lived basketball career. I started playing basketball around the age of 10 for the first time and was naturally decent. I observed the game from my older brother and my father. They would play basketball outside sometimes on our basketball hoop, and I would get in a couple of shots too, of course. This was the era of Jordan, Kobe, and Iverson. We wore the signature Jordan shoes. You had to yell out Kobe when you shoot, and the fashion and moves of Allen Iverson would forever change the game. My brother played AAU in high school basketball and was good. I would go on to do the same. I grew up playing the point guard position, or the shooting guard, and was decent and known for that until I hit a little growth spurt in high school to 6 feet. I'm sure my hoopers could guess what happens next. Here come these sorry coaches trying to place you and put you out of your natural position just because you're a little tall. Not NBA tall, just normal tall. So, in high school, coaches had me running the power forward and center positions. I would get my first shoulder dislocation junior year of high school in basketball practice while in the air attempting a layup. It was my right shoulder first that upon contact of the block rotated the cuff back enough for it to pop out of socket and dislocate. I remember not being able to stand as the nerves prevented me from being able to maintain my balance. That and it being an incident at school, the ambulance was called. That ambulance ride is about $500+, and to this day, I will never try to get on one if I don't have to. After having to sign a waiver with my left non-dominant hand, I would then be able to receive treatment. I was given morphine and had to wait until my shoulder could be popped back into place. The recovery time for a shoulder dislocation is about 6 months, with ongoing physical therapy if you do not choose to undergo surgery. So I did the rehab and physical therapy and would even get better with my left hand in the process. The hardest part during the recovery process is the mental effects that it has on your brain of what you think you can do. If you are going to be as good as before and wondering if it'll happen again. I would then go on to dislocate my left shoulder in a similar fashion. I went to the best hospitals and no one could diagnose, or even heard of for that matter, of someone getting 2 shoulder dislocations on 2 different arms. It would create never-ending jokes for the next couple of years, as 2 more followed, 1 on each arm. One was while trying to jokingly block a shot during intramural basketball, and the other time I was asleep with my arms over my head in a female's bed and it dislocated in my sleep. Talk about embarrassing. It would dislocate again a 5th time, where I drove myself to a hospital for treatment. The moral of this story is that I could have been or was on track to being a decent basketball player. Until the injury, I had never been cut from a tryout, made every team, and was receiving playing time minutes. My intention was to walk on to the college that I was attending for basketball, since I didn't get the chance to receive any scholarships and set out my most important years. I never tried out for that college team like I always wanted to. I said I would get hurt again and realized that I needed to start looking at and pursuing other interests and maybe come back or figure out another way to live out a hooper's dream. I am now comfortable playing basketball full contact again and still enjoy the sport for exercise and to play competitively in different adult basketball leagues. Although during injuries and times like that, it is easy to become depressed, and probably was for a moment, but I always had multiple things going on for me and knew that it wouldn't be the end-all be-all if I couldn't hoop at a high level. I never gave up on playing a sport that I loved because of an injury, despite all the worried parents out there that don't want to see their kids get hurt and pay those expensive hospital bills. Nothing or nobody can stop you from doing what you want to do. Don't make excuses. Fast forward to today, and many good basketball players are competing and playing at a high level with 1 arm, one leg, etc. So, what is your excuse? How I got started in music. How I got started in music. My interest in music began before I even knew what music was. Like many of us, our music habits stem from what our parents or siblings liked and listened to. And the same goes for me. Music is so powerful. As you can see today, it can affect cultures and societies, and is the reason why certain music is banned in some countries. The psychological effects and behavior of music is one of the most fascinating studies. Music can also be used in so many ways, like education, political issues, voice opinions, manipulating audiences, bringing people together for love, for fun, and getting people through sad times in their life. I witnessed this throughout my life as I began being a disc jockey at the age of 13. My first party was for a friend that I went to school with, who was having it in their basement. We were known in town for having access to a lot of music, as my brother brought down a lot of practices from up north down to the south that they were behind on. So we burned CDs and sold them for $5 at school. If we weren't known for one thing, we were known for another, always doing these extra side hustles at an early age. So me being known for music and already having a deep catalog of music would get me my first DJ gig. Even at 13, I knew that I would need equipment to pull this off and wanted to look for some, but I knew I could do better than that. So I invested in myself. I don't remember how I found out where to even purchase this thing, but I remember getting my brother to drive me to Sam's Club to get what would be my first set of DJ equipment. It was a dual CD mixer with crossfades and came with speakers and was around $300, allowing for better transition in between songs. Being in a small town, it didn't take long for the word to spread, and from then on, my journey as a DJ began. A local barber was selling his equipment for $500, and my mom made the purchase, furthering my disc jockey career. I would go on a disc jockey for the next 10 years and be known as DJ Dame, a name given to me by my peers at the time, and I went with it. My work consisted of parties, weddings, cookouts, events, and more. I made great money, considering my age, and was talented with a good ear for song selections. If I had better financial practices and would have known what to do and where to put that money, I would have been a beast earlier. Yes, I invested in myself, like better equipment, logos, etc., but I was making real money with no bills. That is why having the right minds around you is important. Yes, my mother made money and was financially stable, but what we are talking about is how to make money work for you. I know it's easier to do this stuff these days with technology. That is why the circles you were in mattered. You couldn't just go on YouTube and Google at that time and learn all this stuff. The smartphones weren't as smart. My equipment got stolen out of my car in college after I was too lazy to take my equipment out because it was like 3 in the morning. Lesson learned. Always take your equipment, no matter how tired you are. I have no idea who might have stolen my equipment to this day, but I believe they knew me because there was no force of entry, and they knew what they were looking for. Unless you have receipts for everything that was purchased, insurance will not cover everything. Not only that, but because there was no force of entry, they got in by sliding my back window down and unlocking my car. The police won't even come out to do the report. What was stolen was 2 CDJ players, my mixer, Serato DJ controller, a $400 speaker, another speaker, and more. Even though my car at the time in college had tinted windows, set on rims, had a pop-out TV CD player, and outlets underneath my seat to be able to hook up video game consoles or DJ from my trunk, which I've also done before. None of that was taken, only my DJ equipment. The receipts that I did have and what I could find would not be enough to replace all that equipment, as the value of some of these items stayed around the same price, no matter how many years may pass, or get discontinued by the new thing. I would not recover as a DJ for a while. I remember that I still had gigs to fulfill, so I would have to rent out equipment from places that specialized in that kind of thing. I also worked under a guy who had his own DJ company with a couple of guys under him, which is how I got exposed to wedding DJs and how much they can make. But with great power comes great responsibilities, and the time and preparation that goes into these weddings is a lot. The guy that I worked for, his company would eventually fall due to unreliable employees and equipment getting stolen. The money that I did receive, I got studio recording equipment and a low-grade digital mixer. This is how I began recording music, even more than before. It all intertwines and correlates at some point. As a DJ, you may need DJ drops, voiceovers, etc. So many DJs get into recording that way, and then you're always meeting and coming across artists as well. I was always more interested in the recording of other artists' side of music and being behind the scenes to produce, write, etc. The common problem of this is that you must rely on other people all of the time, who may or may not have the same drive and passion as you. So you may end up doing it yourself until you find the right people. Now I do everything for myself, and for those who may want to learn how to put out music every now and then, in my free time. I am focused on my catalog of music and branding before sales right now, until I feel the content that I come up with is more presentable and polished. How I tested positive for TB. How I tested positive for tuberculosis with a skin test. It was freshman year of college, and me and my roommate from high school got placed in this dorm where one side was housing students from the United States and the opposite side housed international students. One day we received a mass email stating that everyone had to get a TB skin test because one of the French international students had real tuberculosis. I never hung out on the international side or interacted with them, but my roommate did. Somehow he ended up testing negative, while my test came back positive. Wow, you can't make this stuff up. Again, feeling like why and how me? I was told that it was just a skin test, and that I may need to take medicine if it is dormant and can become active later in my 30s if not treated. Here we go again with all this life-altering information. How should I live my life? Look at the side effects from these medications? I don't want to have a strong-smelling pee with discomfort that will change colors for 3 months, affect my liver, and won't be able to drink or turn up. So I did nothing but bottle this information for years, until I finally went to go get blood work done to make sure that I didn't have it. I was just going to the doctor to get the medication that was already recommended to me years ago. I didn't even know there was another test to verify if it was or is for certain tuberculosis. Thankfully for me, my blood work came back good, and I have not had to take any medications or worry about this problem as of late, and hopefully never again. How I survived a rare tick bite. How I survived a rare tick bite called Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever. If you have not noticed yet, I'm a lucky person, so why not write a book? Of course, I would be the one to get bitten by an infected tick and catch a disease known as Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever. There's only a 10% chance that ticks carry this, along with the more common Lyme disease. But of course, I end up being in the 10% to catch this. It was the summer between freshman year and sophomore year of college when I would catch this disease and miss my first 2 weeks of college and my move-in date to my first apartment where I lived with 3 females. I could not tell you what I was doing to attract this tick bite. I do not go outside often, but to maybe play basketball every now and then. I was at home for the summer, and we live in the South in what some may call the country. I still don't ever recall having to worry about too many ticks, although you can see many wild animals and insects, ranging from all species. I remember one day waking up very ill, with flu-like symptoms and muscle pain. I thought nothing of it, and was not thinking about any doctors, until the days kept on passing, and I was not getting any better. My mother was always concerned, and decided to take me to the doctor when a huge red rash appeared. Now things were getting scary. I stayed in the hospital between shoulder dislocations, constant ear infections as a kid, and heart murmurs. It always seemed like something, and why me? And now this. The doctors had no idea what it could be, and had to take many precautions and do multiple tests to figure out what it could be. I felt like I was on a TV show. They had to do a spinal tap and remove fluid to make sure it was not some other disease. I had my first spinal tap at 20 years old. You can choose to either be awake and have the area numbed or be put to sleep. I chose to have the area numbed. If I moved, I could become paralyzed. They would eventually diagnose the disease as Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever and not meningitis like they thought, and were trying to quarantine. It was caught in time before it became more deadly, and the disease could be treated with antibiotics. I would go on and recover. My girlfriend at the time would go on and break up with me after she found out that I got better. She came over that summer and everything was fine. She must have wanted to do it sooner. I fell ill, and once I got better, it was when she decided to call it off, before the start of sophomore year of college. The people around me at the time thought it was because I was getting ready to move in and live with 3 females, but I wasn't buying that. She grew up with more strict rules from her parents and didn't get to do much, versus me, who has been a DJ, partying and turning people up for years. Certain things don't get me as excited, and I believe she just had more to go experience, as would I. How I lived with 3 females for 2 years. How I lived with 3 females for 2 years while in college. Freshman year, I stayed on my college campus because my roommate was from high school and took care of signing up for the living arrangements way ahead of time. Of course, we did not end up in the dorms that were originally applied for, and instead ended up in a community room with an extra unknown roommate that was assigned. Like, what the hell? Luckily, I arrived at the dorms first and got the good side of this huge room that was divided by wardrobes and dressers, but my side was more secluded, the only time I was probably on time for anything. Our third roommate ended up being a guy who favored the same sex, and this would be our first time living and having daily interactions with someone who was homosexual. He was just as worried and cautious about opening himself up and being himself, but over time we all got along and learned a lot about each other if we came in with an open mind. It was literally like the real world though, living with so many different personalities and backgrounds, with one white Christian male, a heterosexual black male, and a homosexual black male. I would go on to meet some people that I could see myself potentially roommating with in the future, as well as my high school friend. With the events that occurred freshman year, I was not taking my chances again the following year. So me being me, I was trying to convince my new college friends, one white guy and one black guy, that we should look for something off campus because of what happened to me before freshman year and them not having enough space. So they took their sweet little time believing in the school that they were going to house them. That, of course, ended up not being the case, and they eventually ended up in the same complex as me, as roommates later. So me being an introvert, ventured off on my own and did what I do. I searched and looked for apartments that I felt like I could afford and use with a refund check, stupidly, instead of investing in things smartly at least. Nevertheless, I ended up at an apartment complex that I liked and signed up on a waiting list as a roommate, seeking to stay with 3 people with no gender preference. Luckily for me, there were 3 black females on the list that were looking for a male roommate as a protection presence that wanted to interview first before the agreement. Yes, I went on an interview to meet my 3 future roommates, as well as my mother and one of their roommates' mothers. We all met and agreed that I would be their 4th roommate. I would move in late due to me being sick and getting the last room at the end of the hall as an option, which I was totally fine with. I'll save you the suspense and kill the climax of this story now by saying that I did not sleep with any of my roommates, despite all the noise and chatter of everyone thinking this would be an inevitable outcome. Everyone had their thoughts and ideas and assumptions about how living with 3 females would transpire. Some believed that one of the reasons my ex-girlfriend at the time broke up with me before school started was because I was going to live with girls. Could you date your significant other if they lived with the opposite sex? Then you had some people saying I would end up sleeping with at least one of them, which is a practical claim. Well, why didn't you sleep with or mess with any of them if none of them were ugly and you're good looking yourself? I was in my whole phase coming off my breakup, and although all of my roommates were good looking and worthy of sleeping with, I have never lied on my digging stick and said that I have. I was 20 years old at the time during sophomore year of college, while my roommates were juniors. I was one of the top campus DJs during that time and was everywhere. I had my own car with rims and tinted windows. I had an on-campus job, my own place with 3 females, and my side hustle was jumping. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm disrespectful to females, but during a male's whole phase, he is single, living his best life, and will not let a woman come tie him down. Very short and rude, versus how they want us to be, gentlemen and nice guys, and chase them around. See, you don't have to be famous to experience hyper game and get a taste of female nature. It can happen on different levels. And before this became popular or had a name or a movement, I lived it. I've always leaned more to a red pill nature, even before college. I was looked down upon and known for being a serial dater. I never liked how I could move to a new town, attend a new school, and one or two girls like me and try to keep me off limits and claim me from liking anybody else before I even like or consider wanting to talk to them. Even in middle school and high school, female nature was crazy. The one thing a man has control of is the option of who they want to be exclusive with and date, and they even try to control that, and I never liked that. I would always stretch out the talking phase and get to know you phase to 3 to 6 months before I even considered going exclusive or dating. Meanwhile, everybody else tries to pressure you into rushing these things like it must be done within this time frame. And I don't even know you like that yet. At that time, no girl I've ever dated had exceeded more than 2 years. And yeah, some were good, great. Even then, though, I felt the pressures of being guided to being committed and a family man with kids at age 16 and 17 with so much of my future ahead of me. Like these Southern girls in these small towns move differently and fast. I wasn't ready for all that yet. I was a city boy from Atlanta, Georgia, with big hopes, dreams, and ideas. And the people in town could see that as well, and had high hopes and expectations that I am still trying to live up to, my full potential. I say all that because I chose to live this way. I was referred to as a philanderer and a player. I received shade and some hate at an early age for some of the same reasons that I was liked. I was light-skinned, in the advanced classes in school, tall, had a well-off family, played sports, and was a disc jockey at age 13 and sold CDs before. So people knew me, and I knew people, and had a reason for some people to want to know me, a trend that would carry on all the way up until college. It's all good while you're on top with a purpose, and everybody needs you. But get your equipment stolen and no longer hold the use and value people saw it in you before. And that's when you get to see who was for you and who just used you because of what you did, or who you were at the time, or what you could do for them. So in college, first it started off with a car. Sure, you need a ride here. You need to get dropped off there. House party, club, etc. Even my roommates were like, Damian, you could say no. You never say no. You could say no sometimes. And I mean, I got it then. Some people use me for things. Maybe I needed some people around for things too. But ultimately, naive me would be in the mind frame of, yeah, I got it right now, but what about when I don't? Maybe I'll need someone to depend on or look out for me when it's my turn. You know I'm looking out for the people closest to me right now, not like everybody, and it's my own people, Black people. But we all know the lesson. We can't depend on people when it is your turn. You may be all alone. You can't expect people to remember what you did for them, or throw it in their face when it's that time either. The same reason why you hear rich people say that they don't give out money, or you think that they don't do things for people. Remember, out of sight, out of mind. You are only remembered until you are forgotten, and that is what being an introvert is to me. Nobody remembers I even exist until maybe they see me back doing something again, active, and maybe doing something they're too scared or lazy to try. And so now they live vicariously through me, or you. Have you been invited to your friend's new spot, even though you helped them stay when they didn't have one? Have you heard from your friend that when you all lived together, talked every day, but now that you aren't roommates, hardly speak at all? Did they need you to do that big move when it was moving in with you, versus when it's time to move out? Did you lend out money before and the other person completely forgot, or thought it was a gift? So you were good enough to remember when it's time to ask for money, and you genuinely don't want anything in return, but now that person acts like you don't exist. Yeah, don't end up being this person. Don't be like the old me. That's why they say nice guys finish last. In college, I was that dude, like I've consistently been. Just by being me, living my life, having my shit somewhat together, and not being scared to venture away from people and wait on them. I researched and did what I needed to do to make things happen, like always. I had swag, and was a technology geek, you could say. I had speakers hooked up in my room, giving surround sound vibes, along with lights, mini fridge, dartboard, games, etc. I had my little room decent, and we had one of the best spots off campus. I brought entertainment, a male presence, and could cook a little and was clean. 2 of my roommates could cook and 1 not so much, and it was always great to get a meal. We would end up becoming more like a family. During my hoe phase, I was bringing too many females back like clockwork. I didn't always sleep with them, Sometimes it was just to hang out, study, or smoke, but it would most likely be a female. My female roommates would even begin to make jokes, like it would be a different girl every hour, sometimes for real. And they would be like, "Dang, who was that?" Or another one. They might slip up and call one the wrong name. That's how many girls I had coming through the apartment. I believe way too many. If they could see anything happened, I just had my own thing going on too much for it to bother me, and for them to have to worry about me. I mean, it reached a point where I had to be told that some of their friends were off limits. So it was always more females around than even just them, and I had even more opportunities to be around females than my own gender. They would tell me who they were feeling and who they were not feeling, depending on who I brought over. Some of their jokes that I remember were, "Why does Dame have a mini fridge in his room? Because hoes like snacks." "Why does Dame have blankets and a heater? Because hoes get cold," and so on. They were funny and cool. This would be the foundation, data, and proof of how I refer not only to my experiences and interactions with women, but also how I got to observe and see how 3 different women interacted and operated all the time, at their best and worst, without an affiliation to me. I would live my life as well as to go on to observe female nature, which I used as references in my continued research, materials, and projects today. I was a ladies' man and have always been that way, comfortable around females and going out with females and being the only male. It was like gay benefits and privileges without being gay. Females would change around me, shower, etc., and I'd be chilling because I never acted thirsty and just let things come to me naturally. I would go with women to get their nipples pierced, tattoos, etc. I would have females and people texting me and calling me asking me where the move or the party was if we weren't throwing our own. We threw some memorable parties, the kind that are in the movies but in real life. Most kids think college will be exaggerated like this, but we lived it, not counting all the ones that I've done on my own. One of my roommates was a great party planner and promoter. She had all these themes and ideas even for kickbacks, so it wouldn't be a surprise to see people every now and then, even when it was time to study. There were dinner nights, Taco Tuesdays, Margarita Mondays, taboo games, trivia, wine. I mean, it could have been a club or venue and have charged for real. Even though I would be the DJ and you don't really get to enjoy the party, I would still win more than the guys that were attending the party chasing the women. I had girls checking for me and checking me out waiting until I was finished. I got money and the girls by doing me and living through my purpose. That's a win-win. I would witness some of the guys that they brought over. The nice guys would always get the hard time and get curved or kept around for later, while most of the time, the ones not worthy of being around got to smash and stay around longer. When you fall off, it never feels the same. People around me can't even understand the type of experiences that I had, or may not believe that it was true. It's like I'm chasing to get back that feeling. It's like when celebrities fall off. Dang, I'm not popular or it no more. So I've been reinvesting myself and making sure to do it right this time and have the right people around me to enjoy it as well. And to make sure that I don't fall off like that again. To never feel like I don't have options. You can only be cool with certain women up to a point, and I understand that. Women age and have that biological clock, and they will eventually marry or conceive children. And then that is when everyone tends to fall back, out of respect, as their attention should be focused on that relationship. Unless it is your true best friend, platonic homegirl, or she's not with the baby's father like that, then you tend not to hear from those females that would otherwise try to occupy your time while they were in between entertaining relationships. It is called the friend zone until they meet someone that will not allow them to be friends with the opposite sex because they understand female nature. It's not about being controlling, but there is no need to inhibit and promote behavior that doesn't fit within the result in which they're seeking. And clearly, I can't marry or be with them, so that is that man's job to take care of and entertain that woman who can't do anything for me now. So I must continue to find some new circles and connections that will fit my new journey and path for now. How I found out I got cheated on. As far as I know, every girl that I had dated previously didn't cheat on me. Like I said, as far as I know. We all know that women will take secrets to the grave, even your own mother. I would go on a date and have my 7th girlfriend by age 22 or 23. At the time, I think it was after senior year and post-graduation, approaching summertime. We first met at a house party that I played at and would later find out she liked me then. Some time would pass before we finally started to see each other and date. I hadn't found a real job yet after graduating, but relocated to a spot across town with an old high school friend who would be my roommate. I remember one day I was leaving my old college campus library for a paper or something that I was working on and still had access to some things. I left and headed to my girl's apartment where she lived with 3 other roommates. I felt accomplished and was about to have a great day when I noticed a police car that had been following me since I had left the school. Oops, I forgot to put on my seatbelt. I made it through one intersection, and by this time another car was between me and the police car. My seatbelt was now on, and I would continue to drive a full mile before finally getting pulled over. Then came the games. Why did I get pulled over? Because your seatbelt was not on. I'm like, it's on now. That was a long way back. Then he saw me reach or do or get something. I said I had my paper, which I did, and it just finished, which I did. And yes, my backpack also contained some drugs and paraphernalia for when I got to my girl's house, but nothing was done in the car. There was no need to. So my car smelled great. I had my Black Ice air freshener and everything. But I was young and dumb and didn't know yet how to talk around these cops, who literally try to trick you and harass you into getting their way. So now the cat and mouse game has begun. This area to this day I do not like because the police mess with kids and use shady tactics and practices. It was some seasoned white male cop with a ride-along white female cop trying to show her the ropes and make an example out of me. It went from a seatbelt, which my ticket should have been just given to me, to a car search and having another police officer come for a total of 3 officers. Even my lawyer, in hindsight, said that did not sound right as well. How does a seatbelt infraction lead to a car search at 5 o'clock in the middle of the day? So the cop lied, said he smelled some odor, seeing if I would bite, and said that it wouldn't be bad for me if I just came clean. Real messed up. I'm only like 23, just trying to get where I'm going. I had like a grinder on me, and maybe enough for a couple of blunts. No more than an eighth because I'm broke, right? And like 2 loose niacin pills, which can help you pee more frequently if you need to pass a drug test. So here comes this third cop, who was a brother, black, and worse than the 2 other cops. Like damn, bald-headed, big, and overly aggressive for this situation. By this time, I am out of the car, placed in handcuffs behind my back, and set down on the curb while they began to search my car. I'm like, I'm a college student and y'all trying to jam me up and stain my record and then lie and say everything will be okay. Just go take this class which costs money, as well as the lawyer, and as well as the whole expungement process. Way to mislead and take advantage of someone just to meet your quota. The black cop was questioning, like, what's this? And smashing my pills in front of me and stepping on them. I'm like, they're just niacin pills that he was trying to act like was something else and trying to make me feel bad like I'm throwing my life away when y'all the ones being shady. They would possess my grinder, the little weed I had, and maybe like a pipe, write me a ticket, and have me go to this class in order to fix my record, which may never ever really get cleared, right? Like who knows if it's really gone? But that is what they will say. After sending me on my way, the white cop who originally pulled me over had the audacity to tell me that my car smelled good and asked me what sin is that. No lie. This area after graduation was becoming less and less ideal. My living situation was not the best. I had no job that seemed promising of a career, and now I was in trouble. It was time for a change. I would later move for a job opportunity that was in a different city, as soon as one where I was showed something promising as well. But my girl at the time was seeking to attend another school that would be closer to the job in that new area. So we both moved out that way together, and this would be the start of a real relationship, away from our circles and out of our comfort zones. We were young and still learning ourselves, figuring out our career paths, trying to learn and get to know how the other person moves and operates, while getting lost in trying to please other people and your own vanity. I was far from the best version of myself, but things were looking up since I moved. I was bartending and making some serious cash, and again, in hindsight, I could have used that cash flow better. The establishment that I was bartending and serving at generated anywhere from $150 to $300+ in a 4 to 6 hour shift. I didn't even realize how good that was back then. That's why you hear about some lawyers even doing some bartending to get some quick cash. I had a new car, a new job, and would eventually have my sister rent me out her place after putting both me and my girlfriend up until we came up and were in a better position. Now, I did not know this was going to be an available option, but when it became one, I presented it at the time to my girlfriend about how this can be our place and we can live together here. This would be the first red flag that I should have realized then. Now, the school that she was attending would be almost a legit 30-minute plus drive, but in the area that we lived, that is a typical and normal commute, no matter where you are going. By the time I brought up this news, she had already signed a lease at some places we were scouting before and didn't tell me. That was the messed up part, and I was not about to let the opportunity of getting a 3-story, 3 bedrooms with 2.5 baths that would be rented to me cheaper than anything else I could find and would save me money. So we were already not on the same page, and she wasn't trying to follow my direction or wait for it. So she would continue to move into her apartment and be closer to her school, while I sought a roommate to help bring down the cost. Luckily for me, there was an old friend that I went to college with that had a new job my way and was interested in the arrangements. I kept my same energy for college, so this was like a dope bachelor spot for real. We didn't throw any parties or anything, maybe a few kickbacks, but we were living decently. I had the lights, music, recording studio, dinner cooked every night, basketball, video games, drinking, and smoking. It was backlit again. Too lit. I had a girlfriend, but was still not as ready to be hunkered down for the long haul, like, say, my roommate was. But I did think it had potential to go the distance. It was just so many questions that nobody had answers to thinking realistically, which I was. The distance between us, her adding an extra bill. What was life going to be like after school? Who's following who and what's the plan? There was no plan. Although I had no ties anywhere, I was flexible. But we wouldn't make it to those outcomes. We would fall short right before she finished school. I was working and pulling hose, which wasn't unusual for me, and usually don't let things like compliments or being called cute or attractive give me a big head. But I swear, it is like whenever you do have a girlfriend, is when you get all the attention and hoes. And as soon as you don't, there's nobody to be found for miles. It's crazy. But for whatever reason, the next couple of years I would have a lot of juice. I had light brown colored contacts that I wore sometimes that I needed to see and picked them because they looked cool. That is when I discovered how basic females are and how just having certain traits like the perfect nose, jawline structure, freckles, eyebrows, and colorful eyes are features that make you more attractive to women and more of a consideration for whom they want to reproduce with and pass on those said traits. There's a couple of other factors like swag, money of course, and how well they think you are at keeping your mouth shut. So being introverted has always played into my favor. Ever notice how women like you at first because of the mystery and allure of you? And then as soon as they learn more about you, or they get more comfortable in thinking they know who you might be, they start to get turned off a little. It got to the point where me and my roommate were like, you don't even have to lie. Just tell them that you are involved and have a girlfriend, and it still didn't matter. The theory proved right. I would say that I had a girlfriend, or they would know, and still not care. I was still getting women. Therefore, you must watch your significant other at work with all that work boyfriend stuff because it is real. I lived it. Married with kids or involved, I was the work eye candy, literally a piece of meat. If society cared as much about men when it comes to sexual harassment at the workplace and questionable remarks and statements, I could have filed a report every day. I ended up smashing 2 of the females that I worked with. One had a man and the other did not. I worked with more females that would flirt with me every day, even though they had men. I also smashed another girl that worked across from us that had a boyfriend, but their relationship was on the decline, and he must have messed up first, and this was the retaliation before the fallout. The same thing that would eventually happen to me, because you know there's nothing like a woman's scorn and all of that. You know they can be very revengeful and tactical when it comes to when they want out and want to end the relationship versus when men want to. So I was far from perfect, with my body counts increasing. I was never messy or intentionally trying to hurt anyone, but she would find out of my wrongdoings eventually By, of course, going through phones, but go through theirs when they don't delete and hide everything, and they swear that they're innocent. So yeah, at the time I took advantage of the opportunities that came to me naturally, without me having to go out of my way to seek, chase, or beg for it. The women literally fell in my lap. No extra texting or courting except for that last girl. She was the one that bothered her the most and triggered her insecurities. And that is some of my fault. To me, she was bad. Like, yeah, should I pursue this for other reasons besides just the looks? But you know it's the insecurities that play a part when you hear things like, "What you see in her?" And they start making comparisons. But my girl was not bad looking, at least not to me. To me, none of them should feel insecure, because I wouldn't be with them if I felt like they weren't attractive enough. As shallow as that sounds, we know that works both ways. Men face way more rejection just off height and money alone. But the difference between when a man steps out versus when a woman steps out is different. There's no emotional attachment that I can't control, because men think logically. I know that she's with another dude and that it won't lead to anything serious. I'm not in love with her or any of the other women I slept with. So why cheat? Was some of it validation? Maybe, yes. Was it selfish? Possibly. I wasn't married or engaged like some of the chicks that I was smashing, or knew it didn't matter anyway. But nobody cares about that part when it's y'all chasing and being the aggressor, which is why I was cheating. To me, the universe wouldn't throw that many things at me if this chick was supposed to be the one. I was supposed to enjoy my youth. I wasn't a whore. My list of who I could have slept with, or almost did, is just as long, if not longer, than the ones that I did. I was living my life, and it was just coming to me, and my roommate was witness to it. Men don't get the opportunities to just sleep around with women whenever they want to, unlike how society tends to make you think. When you're single and playing the field, it may take 6 months to a year for the average guy to maybe get laid twice a year. I was treading rare territory. I would go to the strip club and pull the strippers. They would ask me why I was even in here. I looked too good to have to be at the strip club. You could be a paying customer, and the strippers still judge you, reject you, and choose whether to even interact with you based on your looks, appearance, and if they think you look like you got money, which is something you can't even see. Another lesson. Seeing how the strippers view and look at the men who come and support their hustle and their grind. Look what they get perceived as: ugly, thirsty, and desperate. Like anybody can't enjoy entertainment, which is barely enjoyment when you're still getting rejected. Again, in this rare instance, I wasn't. I wasn't a regular. I went one time and she wanted to come home with me. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. It's true, if it's too easy, I don't want it. Again, this is that rare air, that stride that I wasn't working for or having to chase. I was just living my life and it was coming to me, and I was not lying about my situation. They just didn't care. I wouldn't pick flings or hoes over a potential mate, however. And that is the main difference of why when a man cheats, it's easier to take that man back than when a woman cheats. When a woman cheats, she's in love with the guy and likes him. She must have that emotional attachment and some type of foundation before she even sleeps with him, unless she's just a flat-out hoe. She had to get turned on a couple of times before and know some things about that dude, who they never care to know anything about a man unless they get deeper involved. So she would, of course, get some homegirls in her ear, who I swear always don't have a man, can't keep one, or anything going on, advice and guidance about what she should do and how she should feel if it was her, who's never had anything. Was I perfect? No. Was I someone you could work with? Yes. I originally wanted my girl to stay with me and not have a guy roommate who would eventually move his girlfriend in to live with him. So he was getting ready to settle down while we were apart. The same old tale. Everyone is looking out for themselves while you're trying to build something alone. It's going to fall apart. So there were some good times, a lot more than the bad. But of course, we always focus on the negative. So I would go on to have some struggles, job changes, etc. I had my own life and bills separate from, and in addition to the ones she created for herself. I would dive back and forth between her place and mine. I was working a longer schedule now because of work. I was doing insurance, and most of the time was spent on the road before ever getting inside a house and doing a sales presentation. I would be leaving sometimes by 9 a.m. and not get back until 10 p.m., sometimes later, which would lead to more red flags. Men observe, So we see when the changes are taking place and know what's going on. It's the innocent manipulative tactics that frustrate me every time. It may start with some attitude, more time doing makeup or hair. Now you must attend some function to be seen. She wants to stay out and always be with her friends, who are bad influences usually, and more. So by now I had a bad rep in my relationship. It was known that I had done some things, but was working to be better. But the trust was gone. The new job having long, demanding hours also did not help the situation. It has been my experience in my relationships with this new generation of women that the men now are cleaner, can cook better, and can take care of many things on their own without much help or assistance. At least that was always the case for me. I was cooking for myself by age 10. A lot of these women just start learning to cook and take care of themselves in their mid-20s, and then wanted to act like they were doing something special. It's crazy. I would come home sometimes late after 10 p.m. and still be the one cooking because I don't like to eat out, and it's costly. But try making that make sense to most people still today. So I had no problems taking care of myself, which most people just benefited from being around me, one of the perks. I say all of this to say that I would find out this would be the key and the start to me getting cheated on: food. I thought food was the way to a man's heart, but remember, the times and the roles have now changed. Now the key to a woman's heart is food. Females ask for a cash app and money for food and will go out on a date with a man just for the free food with no intention of liking or seeing that man more in the future. But men are the savages, right? Lead with your pocket and not with your heart. How basic do you have to be to get excited about free food or somebody giving you $20, which you can go get from your man? See, the right women think like that. Why would I need to accept or get anything that I can get for myself or my man? Weak, easy women in this case can be bought with just some food. Like how it should be. Don't hate the player, hate the game. I fucking feed her fast food, you keeping her icy. A rap lyric by Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. So all he had to do was be in school, around, and they spent time studying in a library or whatever, giving her attention, what females love, and probably telling her what she wanted to hear like dudes do. Ordered pizza and fast food a couple of times. You know it doesn't take much. Remember, females will spend all your money and save theirs until it is time for them to take that girls trip. So how did I find out? I was driving on my way home from work and it was late. I called and talked to my homeboy, who referred and persuaded me into getting the job. On the way home over the phone, I was telling him how this was about to be my last day and that I was going to quit doing this insurance thing and do a drive share program, do just as much driving, make more money, and get off at a reasonable time or when I want. Come to find out, he quit a long time ago, as most people didn't make it longer than 3 months. I did it for 6 months, if I could, selling insurance as a 100% commission-based job. Their selling techniques made you feel dirty and only helped the people who had started 10 years ago make any real money. It was dirty, and by the time the chargebacks would happen for the policies not staying active for 3 months, we were all going broke and stressed out. I had finally had enough. I stopped by the store and was going to cook something good. I arrived at my girlfriend's place, who was sitting on the couch distraught, hair frizzled and had a blank stare on her face. I put down the groceries and finished up my phone call. She was at a loss for words and didn't know where to begin. As I began to probe what was wrong, that's when she told me that she had cheated earlier that day while lying about what she was doing that day. I didn't believe it at first. Like, really? But then I started to roam the apartment and she left everything where it was so that I could indeed see that she had. Checkmate. I've never been done like that before, nor would I want to do something like that to someone else. Therefore, you must be strong and see how strong you are as a man. I have been tested in ways that some guys have yet to even experience. When I ask them, for example, if they have ever been cheated on before, and their answer is no, most times you'll never know when the female is going to cheat, or if she even has the capability of cheating. My ex cheated on her last dude and did not tell him, so he still thinks and looks at her as some prize, thinking that maybe he lost out on something good like most naive guys. But see, I question my women to learn about their past and from it, not to judge, despite people saying that the past is in the past and leave it there. I disagree to an extent, depending on what things transpired in your past, and if you or we are going to hold ourselves accountable and grow from the past. So I knew that she cheated previously, and I told her, if you ever cheat on me, let me know, so that I don't think like her ex that females are all perfect and try to pop back later with messages talking about how I messed up. Men always do that. Whether it's my homegirls or my own girls, some simp from the past always pops back up to talk about how they think she was the one, and the whole time she's getting her back blown out. So I wanted to know, but damn girl, you didn't have to let me know like this. But see, when women cheat and want to break up, they will do it in a way to end the relationship, and that is what she was seeking to do here. So I walk through the apartment and the bed is messed up, and then I go into the bathroom, and the condom is still there left in the toilet for me to see as well. Touché. Enough scarring and imagery there to make most men snap, and I can see why some do. But I contained my composure. Like I said, I was no saint and was reasonable and took it like a man who'd fucked people up, including her. But see, this is how I know first, and that some women can't differentiate just casual sex from seeking more emotional attachment, which is why it is a bigger deal when females cheat than men. I mean, I asked her. I know it is revenge and to get back, and that I was not perfect, cool. But you don't really think it's smart to throw away 2 to 3 years on just one thing. Are we going to work through this or not? She was all messed up because she was torn between the two, and may have even thought I was crazy or a fool. But I was just trying to be fair, right? So we would continue through our breakup phase, where there was still stuff to go between each other's apartments, etc. It never ceases to amaze how codependent someone is, or how they can use it until it's time not to be. That is why it is so important to not let people around who don't value your time use and manipulate you and drain you of your energy, which could be focused on something else or somewhere else. Now she could take the time out to learn how to cook or make something. Now she doesn't need your help or assistance if she breaks down at the side of the road. Now she can be grown and independent whenever it is convenient for her. So I would still go on and smash sometimes, or pop up every now and then, because I had a key, she had one, and my other car was at her place as well. At the time I had 2 cars, and I let her borrow one when hers was on the blink. And then my second car ended up failing as well. Typically when women date men, the women always come out better than the man by either learning something or using what they have access to, and financial gains, by spending the man's money and saving hers. All their moves are survival-based and become even worse once they bear kids. You will become less and less important than you already are. One day I pulled up because I did the rideshare driving gig now and needed to use the bathroom or whatever. I went in her apartment and no one was there, but I went in the fridge and saw chicken wings prepped for later. There were never any chicken wings prepped for later before. Now you can cook? So I came back again later, and she wasn't expecting me. She steps from the bedroom door after hearing the front door and closes it behind her, blocking the door to let this guy, I still don't know who, sneak out the back door like I'm stupid. I was about to throw a jar of pickles upside this man's head from the fridge, but he made it to his car and drove off. We would talk some more, and that's when I was like, okay, so she's in deep, literally and figuratively. So that is when I woke back up on my savage. I didn't have anything else to smash like that. So like I said, I would still smash her sometimes and pass her back and forth a little bit, since that is how she wanted to be treated. You know they always want to have their cake and eat it too. I mean, it's been going on anyway, and it's just one other person until I find something else, which is the game anyway. That person is not yours, it's just your turn. So that day I kicked her out of my apartment after she was talking crazy, and I treated her like how she was acting. I have a way with words, and I can be mean, but not to the point where it had to lead to my vehicle being damaged, as she popped out both side mirrors on the way out. I did nothing to her or her apartment after all that was done to me, but we know how that goes. Now there is no hate for anybody or my exes, or this ex that I'm referring to. Why? Because if men persevere and keep their eyes on their purpose and not let a woman define who you are, but add value to it when it is the right one, then we will always have the last laugh. Don't let the manipulation, shaming tactics, and toxic behavior bring you down. Become aware of it and fix the situation as soon as you can. I would find out later, now that we had officially stopped seeing and communicating with one another, maybe a month or so after the breakup, that she continued working under my tax ID for my family business because she was pregnant and had a baby on the way. I had not relayed the information to my family yet about the breakup. But that's not how I found out when she was pregnant. I would find out that she was pregnant when going to a mutual friend's birthday outing. The mutual friend was the link between us and dating. We didn't talk as much when I was dating her friend like we did before and after. She loved celebrating her birthdays and did not mention that she would be there or that she was pregnant. I was even there with my new girlfriend, staring at my old girlfriend's belly in a hotel room before they were going to go out. Talk about awkwardness. My girlfriend wasn't sure if that was my ex, but she suspected it. I already spent some time with the birthday girl before my ex got there, and I wasn't about to stick around for this. I was driving in the car on the way home with my girlfriend when my ex-girlfriend called my phone after seeing me, sounding remorseful and alluding to maybe talking more. For a minute, I was like, could it be mine? But she never approached me with any of that, and I strapped up every time after she cheated. So I guess dude got her pregnant, and it seems like a baby daddy issue rather than a romantic fairy tale. The timing could not be worse, as she was graduating from getting her master's and was supposed to be pursuing a very demanding career. I didn't have to retaliate. I did not have to be mean and slander her name. All I did was take some time to recover, get my head right, stay focused and not be emotional, and I would be in a good place again. Life took care of itself, and although I was raised by a single mother and wouldn't wish that on anybody, that appears to be her result, like many others, because they get caught up thinking they can change the wrong men into the right men. If anything, I dodged a bullet and should be thankful and happy that it happened now rather than later, before things got more serious. Wanting me to do husband-like things and get nothing in return, it even came up during some of the arguments that I didn't help to pay for rent or anything. I have my own rent and bills, and you didn't want to stay with me. Why on earth would I pay for your rent or other bills when I have my own? Another reason why it is so important to test and go through things with your partner beforehand or whoever you lay down with, because the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Same goes for the fellas. If you have a girl that you can work with now, don't risk that on chasing the girl who is into the thrills and lose a potential wife and family, because it is hard out here, and it is even harder now currently to do it alone. How I lived with a third roommate in a 701 square foot 2-bedroom apartment. How I lived with a third roommate in a 701 square foot 2-bedroom apartment. I was trying to remain in the city of the college that I recently graduated from and not go back home, even though I should have. I mean, I was poor with no real job, but was sure I would find something and still could get some DJ gigs in the area. I had my recording equipment that I had gotten from when I got robbed. The plan was to record a lot of music. There was an old friend that I went to high school with who did music too, and was still in the city with nowhere to stay. We didn't hang out much in college, but we didn't have any issues as far as I knew. So I reached out to see how he felt, and he agreed that if we could find something cheap and reasonable, we would be roommates. I spent most of the time looking and researching some places and driving to them to check them out. I would go on to find something that I believed to be reasonable and affordable. We would do what we needed to sign the leases for us to stay in this 2-bedroom flat that was 701 square feet with 1 bedroom, a washer and a dryer included in the kitchen, a TV mounted on the wall, and amenities included for $480 a piece, which is still highway robbery for the total amount that we are paying. But it is still where we could get in at the time, and it was our home. At least that is what I thought it was, or what I signed up for it to be. We would move in, and you know me, being the tech nerd that I am, and he was too, that this would be a dope spot still, even though it was small. This was our trap house where we were supposed to grind it out, work and play. The first month I would say went by great. There was an at-home studio set up in my room and an at-home studio set up in his room. We had the little living room hooked up a little bit, had a blow-up couch and black light set up. I waited for hours and spent days figuring out how to get food stamps that I qualified for the max that year, which was key in not having money like that. Things were set up like usual. I was eating well, and I had some girls come over. One for me, and she had a friend for my boy. We had that spot. It's great to have that feeling of wanting to be home, and that has always been my living arrangements. Like, home is so fun and comfortable that going out and being outside is okay. But if the environment is right, and you know how to throw a dope kickback, it will be some of the best memories, even over some epic trips. Like when after you start making some money, You might hear people say we had more fun when we were broke trying to come up. Although you never want to go back to being broke. We couldn't wait to get off from work or back from what we had to do back in the crib, either making music, smoking, or playing zombies on the video game. Then a surprise I had no idea about happened. At the time, I was single and was doing my thing, and he had a lady friend at the time that I would have assumed I would see frequently. We all went to high school together, and it was expected since they had always been on and off. I know I can be seen as a bad influence sometimes, but I was for them and rooting for them. How I live my life and what I got going on shouldn't play a part in you not trusting him. Yeah, I believe that he should enjoy and live a little. He has always been a loyal and honest man for years, despite how being around a DJ that has girls come around all the time can draw caution when dating. He still never let any of that lifestyle or what was going on have any impact on his relationship. So you could say she was a little toxic for having trust issues. Ultimately, it wouldn't make a difference or matter what either one of us thought. As people change and grow, so do relationships sometimes. The relationships that he formed in college would soon be more important than the ones that transpired before. I have never seen a person trust someone they have just met in a shorter amount of time than your day one or ones. But this is what happened somehow. After about a month of moving in, he says his friend from college is coming down from up north to check out the spot and kick it for a couple of days. Okay, cool, no problem. Of course he likes the spot, like everybody else, and even does some music too. He's cool and I have no problems with him either. He's just not my man's. So I think nothing of it, you know. Maybe it comes up that he's trying to get back down this way and this and that. You know how people talk. I pay it no mind. I think he visited again, and maybe on the third time, it was presented to me again, maybe like a month and a half into the lease, that his friend is trying to stay until he gets on his feet and gets a job and finds his own spot, because the spot is so small, clearly. So again, I believe this may happen. Say maybe a month or two tops, maybe 3. I know it's not easy sleeping on a couch or floor or blow-up couch every night, and I'm all for the trap spot and the grind and people coming up together, like we are building Facebook. But we're some wannabe rappers and everybody's shit is not together. So I was not for this. And I know I spoke out against it, but he signed for his lease too. And so this would begin the tension in our living arrangements and friendship. So I'm moving like I usually move, bringing ladies to the crib to entertain and chill and do my thing, even with this guy always in the living room. With me not having a living room to entertain meant my company and I would have to be in the bedroom most of the time. I'm trying to smash and do me. Here come the jokes again, just like when I was living with the females, about how I got all the women and me smashing. Now, I don't think I was being fake or unreasonable at all. I had food stamps that everyone was benefiting from, and everybody else acted too lazy to see if they could qualify to get some. Even though I told them to and how to do it, why not? Bring more money into the house for food. The way I saw it, it was again people trying to use me for my hard work and means. Need I remind you, I really didn't have problems with my old high school friend or his college friend like that. The frustration and shade would stem from the living arrangements, the laziness. It felt like when it came to contribution, and although it was argued that he was trying to pull his weight and do stuff, it just was not who I signed the lease with or what I signed up for. The tension was building. Maybe more than 3 months would pass, and my high school friend was okay with this and favoring some guy to me that he's only known for 5 minutes over a guy he's known longer. To me, this guy was living in my head rent-free and literally living for free. I understand needing a helping hand or a time to come up when it may be your turn, but nobody but you asked and okayed this guy to move down here from up north with no job and really no place to stay, and he was becoming more costly to have around. So I was looking at my money like enough is enough. How was he not going to get a plate when everybody else was eating well and could feed hoes? How was he not going to catch a hit of some gas when everybody else is smoking? Yeah, he may ask to go in or put up $5 or $10, but see, I'm already thinking differently than everybody else. I'm trying to buy things in bulk. I had a Sam's Club card at the time as well, and I can get more at one time. I hated doing that penny pinching stuff, leaving every hour and people putting up $5 for 1 or 2 joints. I always had more. But see, people always want to smoke more than they can put up. It just became frustrating. I was cool with doing this stuff for my friend that I went to high school with, but not for this other guy too. I know he wanted us all to get along and click and be cool, but this was going on for the whole term of the lease. And sure, we had our moments of music videos, girls, kickbacks, and more, but it was a lot to manage, which is why I explored the option of moving when it presented itself to me and not re-sign my lease. The whole term of my lease was shared with some guy that I didn't even know. He never paid any rent that I saw, chipped in here and there. I'm supposed to feel sympathetic and nice if they were to tell it, but this was business and not what I signed up for legally. If I would have known that, I would have never signed my lease. He chose this guy over his own girl at the time. He was over there more than her. We didn't see eye to eye on the music either. Whenever this guy got into the picture, everything fell apart. I can agree and admit that my approach or what I believe may come across as end-all be-all. I know that there is not only one way to do something, but where we would butt heads is when I would try to vocalize how the music should be released and about buying the beats and doing things the right way. We could put the same money we use to buy the gas and get a beat and put it out right, not just steal a beat from YouTube and hope to blow up. Let's build and brand this right, something everyone knows they must do now, even more today. Imagine if we had stuck with it and stayed together and worked as a team 10 years ago with consistent content. Everybody was trying to do their own thing, even though we would collaborate from time to time. I stuck out for the whole duration of the lease. I tried not to let the living arrangements get to me like that, as there are always other problems and things to worry about, like women, work, the car breaking down, money, and more. But I did not want to be in that environment anymore. After I left, they would eventually continue to be roommates another year or two before he moved back up north. How I avoided sleeping with the wrong women. It goes back to trusting your gut and instinct with a little bit of luck, I believe, because it has happened that if you catch any woman at the right time under the right circumstances, that she can slip up and make that mistake and sleep with any man. They become so good at blocking out and forgetting that they may have slept with that guy because they were feeling emotional, but the guy never forgets. They may not even know who the father is if you catch them at the right time. This has happened a couple of times to me, where there was a girl that I was pursuing and could have smashed and didn't. For whatever reason, I walked away or stopped, and then you find out sometime later that they are due, expecting a baby. So that whole time you were baking with another man's baby? See how easy it would be to get caught up with her, sleep with her, and be caught up within those time frames of being a father to another man's baby? Don't rush into anything if you don't know the other person that well. What's crazy is that I walked out one time on a girl before, not because I didn't want to hit it right then and right now. I just wanted it to be right when I hit it, not on the first random night of us hanging out. I thought she would respect that I had more respect for her and wanted to get it under better circumstances. I was wrong. Maybe that was my one shot for one reason or another, where she just wanted her back blown out, and I didn't go through with it. Maybe she had a man. I still don't know because she avoided me. I went from almost smashing to she'll respond when she can. How I get judged for not rushing into marriage. Am I to blame for not wanting to get married? Why should I get married? My idea of marriage has changed drastically since I was a kid. Just like everything in my life, I grew up believing all the lies that they tell children, only to get older and discover a different truth. What other lies have been told to me? With what lens or part of the world are we getting these ideas? Is everything Western civilization based on the right and only way? Maybe the books written by humans didn't understand human nature. Although we may have greater brain power than some animals, we as humans sometimes forget that we are indeed just that, animals, with primal instincts and urges too. Maybe some of this information needs to be updated, or they change the meaning and the rules so much that it is no longer a sensible option. What does marriage mean to me? The fantasy, the dream, and the illusion that we are all sold and told in Western civilization is to aspire to be married to your one true love and soulmate until death do us part. We are supposed to find this soulmate between the ages of 15 to 24, as most people aspire to get married as soon as possible. The woman is to be pure and a virgin. The woman is to be a helpmate to her husband and follow his decisions, no matter the outcome. This bond or union is not to be broken. No adultery should take place. Marriage will take place in the church. The woman is to wear a white dress that symbolizes her purity and her virginity. The man wears a suit. Before marriage, now women demand to be given a ring prior to marriage, which was not always a requirement. How expensive and the size of the diamonds in the ring can be perceived as how much that man loves you and what he believes your worth is. If not, it shows his own worth. So you're still pressured into getting something of value in most people's eyes. This engagement ring is to mark your territory and represent that she is committed to another person and loyal, but it's still not the final ring. She gets another ring when you finally do get married, and now you do too, to signify your union. However, prior to marriage, the media has now over-sensationalized the need to have a bachelor or bachelorette party, which strongly suggests that both people go sleep around or party one last time before getting married to this one person forever. Some people may choose to have a perfectly normal way to celebrate this, like bowling, but we all have seen the movies imply that the way to have a bachelor or bachelorette party would be to cheat on your partner before marriage. After marriage, the ideal lifestyle is to get a white house on a few acres with a picket fence, a dog, and have at least 2 or 3 kids. Maybe your wife works, but does not really have to or want to. The women are nurturers, and the men are providers. These are the traditional ideologies and processes and the steps toward marriage. How does most of this sound in the year 2022? Far and few in between. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people getting married and are traditional, despite the media suggesting otherwise, with divorce and what you have in attempts to scare people from even trying marriage. Times have changed so much in our society that the definition of marriage to be politically correct is almost impossible to define. You can almost be married to anything these days, like an animal. People are abusing and bending and taking things too far, per usual. My reasons for questioning marriage in America are for business reasons. Marriage in America, to me, is to be looked at as a business agreement and arrangement. I am learning and continuing to learn that marriage is a contract tying you to the government, and all the laws and protection in a marriage benefit the woman and not the man. I can make my own contracts. We can create our own legal binding documents if I believe that I have found the right one. Marriage is now a financial decision and not based on something fickle like love. The privileges and benefits of a marriage have now gotten so abused, such as seeking and getting married for a provider. It is now just a money grab where the woman can always be provided for while enjoying and getting to do whatever she wants with little to no consequences. To me, marriage is just another title to chase. That is why it seems, based on my polling and listening to some people talk about marriage, that after the woman receives that title and is married, the sex, fire, passion, and desires tend to dwindle. For some women, being married and having kids is their purpose and goals. And once that is fulfilled, then what? They're never really satisfied. Then when we start to get comfortable, it's just like dating all over again, with bigger titles and more consequences, but the same experiences as dating with the same dangers. I've observed my friends' marriages while trying to figure out how I would want my marriage or union to be. What are our rules, and what are we going to be okay with? See, I lived an experienced life compared to my peers by being a DJ and being out at an early age and on the scene. Everyone else seems to have a later start at experiencing some of the things that I got out of my system, while during the early stages of their marriages, maybe they did not. I know a few couples that practice swinging or experimenting with third parties. Again, I don't judge when I get information like this, but I ask questions to try to figure out what possibilities have led to these outcomes. Do any insecurities play a part? Not getting to live out certain things that we should have before? Or should we live them out with our partner? I can only speak for myself, and with the life that I lived, I would not want to be married and swing with my spouse for the reasons I've stated before of becoming too attached. I would be open to a polygamous relationship with maybe one other shared partner that is female who brings value. Again, it is not about trying to be fair and say if you can want that, then the women can have 2 guys as well. I believe it does not work out well that way ever, and is not possible. The women can only truly provide enough attention mentally and emotionally to favor one person that they are involved with at the time. there will always be a true number one person that she will listen to and follow. So it was interesting to be judged for the way I lived growing up doing the things that I did out of wedlock, only to find out how a lot of marriages are in wedlock. What's the difference? You're experiencing everything I did on my own, and I know they're not shared experiences, but those are some awkward experiences to have together if you don't know the effects of those events, and we differentiate as men and women when we process those events. I'm taking my time in pursuing marriage until I know that I am financially ready for that commitment and understand the current marriage practices and laws in comparison to how I want mine to be. To me, marriage is like social media. My current relationship is fine. Time has been moving by so fast with everything happening in the world. It is easy to be involved with someone for quite some time. I understand the woman's biological clock and the so-called argument of wasting a woman's fruitful years. The time that I have spent around women showed me different. Women talk a great game and envision things that they think they want now, but don't understand why it is best to hold out and wait until later. Everything's rushed based on their biological clock, even if who they are as a person doesn't match up. It is up to you as a man to monitor this and explain if it is the right one for what you are trying to do and why. Explain to her why you think she may want all this responsibility and stress now, but you don't. It is the money and stress that ruin most of these relationships, and women aren't built or meant to handle a lot of stress. So why rush to create and provide a stressful environment that nobody is ready for? Responsibility that nobody's ready for. She still wants to travel and be out with the girls. She still wants to go to school and get a higher education, all while thinking she's going to do this while raising kids, cooking, cleaning, and taking care of you like how you want to be. It is not realistic or practical until the man is comfortable enough and in the position where if she wants to up and leave, I as a man will still be fine. A woman can set up shop and live off any man. A man must get and always have his own, no matter the situation. That is why you are seeing more people decide to wait until later to pursue a family. With inflation and everything else, the cost to raise a child is high. I heard and listened to the struggles and strain that having kids at an early age, or even 22 or 25, had on parents. The lack of desires and fulfillment that parents had to pursue their goals or dreams because they sacrificed certain things to be able to provide for their kids or didn't have the means. Just because the norm or most people did things this way or experienced things one way doesn't mean that is the only way. We are constantly getting new information and sharing with each other experiences so that we can make the best sound decision for us, that we don't continue the cycle and figure out what will really make us happy in this short time that we have on Earth and the one chance that we get here. Will we all die alone? Or is it better to have someone to grow old with along the way? Or will you be Hugh Hefner to the grave? How I repaired my credit. How I repaired my credit in about 6 months. The first step in repairing your credit is becoming aware of what your credit score is. For me, it was when I was inquiring about purchasing a house, like many lost Americans. When I was looking into affordable housing programs, or when you go directly through a builder with their own lender, they will do a soft pull on your credit. A soft pull is great, as it will not put a hard hit on your credit, like buying a car or renting an apartment. I was even provided with a list of everything that was on my credit, along with a telephone number on how to reach them. Now, I don't know if they will still provide you with the list, but at the time during 2020 to 2021, I was able to. With that list, you can literally attack everything on your list and clear up your credit if you have the funds to do so, or it can game plan on how to do so accordingly. I was around a 520 during July of 2020 because I was living my life and neglecting my credit score. Why is it important to check your credit score? Well, in my instance, the place where I got my car from left a code stuck on my credit, I-9, which will drag your score down tremendously. I had a misunderstanding on some payments and had my car repossessed one time with a good payment history, and the way that they coded affected my credit, that it would stay on my credit until the balance was $0, even after I had the car in my possession, had paid, and was driving it. Luckily for me, from the time of the repossession to me paying it off was not long, because it was the most impactful thing on my credit score, and that company which gave me the loan for the vehicle is the worst. Once that was taken care of, as well as an electric bill that I feel like I did not owe because the company got bought out and went from one name to another, and I never got my deposit back, but somehow still owed money, which is now on my credit. After all the bad debt was taken care of, versus the good debt, like student loans, which most people will have, next is playing the credit card game. So during the meeting with the builder, this old school white guy is telling me how to further boost my score quickly. He told me to get more credit cards. Each person can have up to 5, and when you apply and use it, each card is 15 points, and that is 75 points right there. Well, I already had one that I hated and still made payments on, but have always been on time getting screwed and paying the high interest. Now I am more responsible and am making more money, so I can handle the obligations and true purpose of a credit card. How many of us were taught with the idea that credit cards are bad and are to be used if you don't have money, which is how people mess up their credit. Only use the credit cards if you have the money to replace it on your debit card with what you use on your credit card. Do that and keep your utilization rate below 10% of whatever your limit is, and always pay early or in time and a little more than what you owe. Now the companies will begin to trust you and offer you more money on your line of credit the earlier you pay on time and the better you are with your payment history. You then repeat this process and manage your money so that you always have enough money on your debit cards to handle any transactions on your credit cards, which is bookkeeping 101. How the friends that you think may be lame are the people you need to be friends with. As you get older and you finally start to believe what everyone told you growing up, and in the movies, how high school and all that seems so important, the only thing important is to say fuck fitting in and trying to be cool and appeal to average people. Find all the nerds and people that society calls weird and be friends with those motherfuckers, because everyone else is bullshit anyway. The same kids that get made fun of are the ones that win in the end because they were focused and had a purpose early on. Yes, they have their battles too, like dealing with bullying. But again, society is backward, and as you get older, you ask yourself questions like, why would a loud-ass popular kid be cooler than the guy who can program code and hack things? Class action lawsuits. How I had job opportunities taken from me due to discrimination legally. Here I am, thinking the playing field is level and that some things are getting better as far as opportunities for jobs and work. Come to find out that this is still not the case. Everything must be fought for and earned more than the average person. During applying for jobs over the past few years, I have received more than one class action lawsuit for discrimination against employment. To think that I could have been making money or working somewhere to further yourself and someone stops that. You have the interview and think things are going well and just hear nothing. How could you not get that job if you are overqualified and have a college degree and internet company call centers are turning you down? That's crazy. I don't know who fights on behalf of the little people, but it is nice to know that some justice can be delivered. Does the little check of maybe $20 amount to the chance of a potential career and stable income? No, but I would have never known that I had gotten passed up on a job for who I was if it were not for receiving a class action lawsuit in the mail against the company. Not only have I been discriminated against from getting jobs, but I have also received class action lawsuits saying that the bank I took my loan through to get my car charged me a higher interest rate just because I was Black. So if all this is still happening in the present, how far have we really come? It is still so much harder for people of skin to get over the hump and a fair chance. Again, the letter in class action hasn't stopped the bank from expanding and taking over more territories. I haven't received any reimbursement or any type of apology other than a letter saying that it was discovered that this happened to me. The only lesson from this is to keep your head up, although I know it is hard. You already receive a lot of no's, and sometimes don't hear back from companies for months and are wondering why. You have been searching for that car and that house and can't get qualified, or there always seems to be some type of red tape. Just know that you are not alone and that you must keep pushing through and doing the best that you can do. What more can you do when some things are literally out of your hands and control? Again, I know this is what sucks, and what hurts the most is because you did everything that you needed to do to be successful or positioned yourself for that success. But there are gatekeepers. It's a small world after all. It's a Small World After All is one of the most iconic rides that I remember from childhood after going to the infamous Disney World. That song on the boat ride will forever live in my brain. I know the meaning of this song to change over time as I grew up within this world. It is a small world in the sense that you may run into somebody that you love and admire, to hate and despise. And what are you going to do when that day comes? At the same time, it is also a big world in terms of sales and selling yourself. Why limit yourself? Especially with today's technology, the possibilities and potential of global reach are endless. Why not try to go for it all, or even just a little? What will it take to get to the number that you think is necessary and you are comfortable with in sustaining your desired life? Don't let the outsiders influence your initial thoughts and dreams. Even something as far-fetched as being a well-off musician to a title like an influencer is something that is obtainable with the times and the given circumstances that we are offered. It is about how we are using those chosen given circumstances. For many, social media apps are used as a gambling mechanism to draw you into being addicted to being on that app as much as possible. Sick and true in its intent and nature, which is another reason why I choose to be introverted and stay off from such things as much as possible. But there can also be two truths as well, and that is that social media apps have changed the lives of many for the better as well. Because they utilized these tools in their favor, they were able to capitalize from an opportunity by timing and taking the necessary risk, while being able to foresee the potential of getting in on something early. Although there are many ideas and concepts that don't make it through, that is where luck meets preparation and opportunity comes into play. How the world is not on your time. Everybody is not on your time. The world is not on your time. The time zones that you know are based on the stock market and money, openings and closings of trades going on around the world. So while your feeble mind is choosing not to go outside to make money because it is raining or snowing, just know that around the world, your sunrise and sunset is based around currency and helping those that are aware get richer. Therefore, the early bird catches the worm. The first one spoils the gains. Everybody is not on your time. Since there are different time zones around the world, remember to adapt your feeble mind and be okay with not hearing from someone or somebody in the timely manner that you're accustomed to. But remember that you're still thinking local. When you have contacts and friends across the world, you must be mindful that you may not hear back from them immediately. How to document the process. It is going to take some getting used to, but we all must get accustomed to documenting the process. Documenting the process is recording your journey towards your goals through various methods, such as video, pictures, written documents, testimonials, journal entries, invoices, blogs, podcasts, and more. Documenting the process not only provides proof of what you are doing and records, but also provides quick access to materials and content ready to be repurposed and distributed to potential customers and platforms. In addition to documenting the process, you need to maintain a proper record of your business contacts and people that you network with. Their names should be saved, along with what service that they provide, and even the location and date of when the interaction can help be useful when the time comes to access this information later. You can even take a picture of you and that person for even more proof of the event or where the information was exchanged. For example, Tony Santiago, who wrote the foreword of this book, I met as a passenger when I was doing Lyft. We exchanged emails, and he emailed that same day and I responded. The email that he sent me, I used as the foreword for my book, as it was an extension of what we previously were talking about during that ride. It was perfect for what I was doing, and I remember how inspiring and ambitious Tony was during our interaction and how he wanted to help others as well, and his outlook on life was like mine. So when the time came that I was ready to finally put out this book and get permission to use his words, all I had to do was go back to the email and reach out. The email thread was still there from our previous conversation, although over a year has passed and he still remembers who I am, that I spoke about writing a book and went through with it. Like this book, you want people to be able to see and follow the steps that you took to become successful, that you can resell again later after you become even more successful. And that is why you want to document the process. It creates more value in the end and is like a receipt. How I lost my virginity to an albino. Rare indeed. Love is in the eye of the beholder. And growing up, I did not let outside influences deter me from decisions or situations that most would be too scared or hesitant to do. I was a freshman in high school and was already garnering attention from females in higher grades. I was invited to prom my freshman year and went almost every year except one. I didn't even know what an albino was, nor had I ever been exposed to one until now. Here was this junior albino girl that was older than me and asked me to go to prom. I said yes, and we would go on to date for a year and some change. I would go on to meet both of her parents, of course, and have them get a feel for the person that they are allowing to take their child out. Both of her parents were black, and so was she. Being albino just means that there's a lack of pigmentation in the skin, and that too much exposure to direct sunlight may not be good for the skin. It was so interesting that even though she lacked pigment, you could still tell that she was black, and her features were so dominant. She looked good to me, and after I was dating her, dudes would come to me asking all types of weird questions, like what it looked like and stuff. People are funny, like I always say, so we became a cute and well-known couple. We would both be each other's first, and although it ended ultimately due to age and me not believing it would work out with her going to college and me still being in high school, she ended up being a cool person that maybe I should have at least attempted it, but I did not. I would go on to feel myself too much a little bit and let some of the typical societal pressures of high school, like dating, grades, fitting in, and sports, influence some of my actions that may not have always been the best. How women can't act around men. Lessons in life on why you must be cautious about the environment in which you and your significant other work. How being placed and put in certain positions and positions of power have an impact and influence in our society. For example, the student-to-teacher relationship, or actors and actresses. As humans, it is hard for us to fight off our urges and desires, even though we are intelligent enough to know what is right from what is wrong. The hierarchy and power structures in our society influence animal-like behaviors, instincts, and decisions. They say that every actress that has ever played Mary Jane fell in love with every actor that has played Spider-Man. I have several reasons as to why I believe that this occurs. One, of course, being the environment, the workplace, hours and hours of time being spent together, going over romantic lines and acting out a fantasy. A fantasy, fairy tale, or Disney-like type movie is where a lot of women's frames of reference stem from on how they think life and relationships are supposed to go. That a man of great importance and high value will come in and sweep them off their feet. Spider-Man is naturally that figure, being a well-renowned superhero, to where he will not only be idolized within the movie, but outside of the movie as well for playing this role. So the fame and stature go hand in hand in this case, with the movie and reality as you become infamous for playing these two roles in art imitates life. How to spot the 3 types of people. They say that there are 3 types of people that will be around you. You will have the people that are scared to be affiliated with you due to your reputation, behavior, or perceived image. Then you have your people that will embrace you for who you are and what you stand for, no matter what. In their eyes, you can do no wrong, unless it is something egregious. Lastly, you have your people that will wait to see what you do before they see if they want to reach out or work with you in some way. How some Americans date based off what season it is. Yes, it is sad but true. Some Americans dictate and maneuver their relationships and decisions around them depending on the weather and the seasons. From popularized phrases like hot girl summer from female rap artist Meg Thee Stallion to we outside are terms that have infiltrated our culture and the minds of many people. It is not uncommon to come to America and hear that when it is fall and winter, that this is the time to find a potential mate to settle down with and spend time indoors because it is cold outside. This is perceived to be the perfect time to watch movies, cuddle, and do indoor activities. When the spring and summer arrive, then it changes to if that person acts up or becomes intolerable, then that person is then expendable because now it is about to be spring and the summer. The warmer weather is an invitation to go outside and partake in activities that are more fun without having to have consequences or someone to answer to at home. It is the time for more free will, more trips, and Jezebel energy. This thought process you typically hear comes from females, but because they are the main ones who promote this kind of behavior, Men are keen to it, and some men play along accordingly. Some don't really have a choice other than to hope and realize that you are not going to get played by being a seasonal flame. This type of behavior and programming has been going on for years, and it is why we are where we are today. Relationships have become so disposable and fickle, and everybody wants more than what they are prepared to give. How there are no tips. The game is different and varies from person to person, but you can find some similarities in patterns and stories if you know where to look. There really is no winning or tips for the game, as the game is continuous and never ends. Just when you think you have won, you could still lose. I don't intend to sound morbid or depressing, but want to prepare you for the realities of the world and not sell you a dream. When you think the marriage is strong and has been going on for 20 years, a divorce could still come. Your health can fail you at any given time. You may operate a vehicle every day, which is a death machine, but the media makes you more scared of other things. The only real advice for the game is good luck, and remember to keep your head up and climb over the obstacles that life throws your way, and align with the things that will lead towards your inner peace. This is Free Game Today.